everybody, welcome back to my Hoot Crew. Night Owl here. Today we are doing an interview, and today our special guest is Mr. Jimmy Barnes.
Yeah.
There he is. How are you doing, Jimmy?
I'm very well, thanks, Vicky, and thank you for inviting me on. I've been looking forward to this day for ages.
I know. It's getting people scheduled in and everything else, and then I have to change things because my schedule changes and everything else. But we got you in. Happy to have you. If you want to share this out, I don't know if you can get onto a YouTube link, like onto YouTube from your end, and share it out.
I can share a link in Messenger if you can furnish me with one. I'm sure I can forward that into a couple of other chat groups if that's all right.
Yeah, I just have to. I'm just looking here. Okay, I'm going to copy link. And then I'll go into Facebook. I got my volume turned up, so hopefully everything on the sound on that end is good.
Yeah, I do apologise if things beep or vibrate every so often here. It's my devices.
Yeah, no problem. There you go. Right there. There you go. All sent. All right. Oh, I muted it. There we go. That was just me. It's okay.
In fact, right. It's easy for me to...
Hey, Andy RP, we got Jesse McNeil in, we got Funko Pop Ohana. How you guys doing? Welcome in. Like I said, this is an interview tonight. We're interviewing Mr. Jimmy Barnes, and I've got his channel up here. So I'm going to try and share it in the chat every so often because I'm not sure if I have a moderator in the chat. So we will do that, and I'll make sure that you guys can go and follow him. He's an awesome gentleman.
Oh. I was waiting for you to say it, Vicky. It only took you 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It's just, he's awesome, but, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Albatross Pops, thank you so much for coming in. There's his link, guys. I'll try and share it every so often so that you guys can check out his channel. I'm going to be interviewing him so you guys get to know him a little better. If you have any questions for him about halfway through the interview, by all means, type them in the chat and we shall ask away. I'll be checking the comments every so often, but my main focus is to interview Sir Jimmy Barnes. So anyways, now that we got some people in here, Jimmy, what have you been up to lately during this COVID time?
Well, just really sort of going gung-ho and full-time, as it were, on my YouTube channel, really. I mean, I've been really kind of ramping up the content sort of to a, quite a full level for the last 2 years. But certainly since, I would say, March of this year, I've really taken it to that next level. I mean, being someone who doesn't work, for numerous medical reasons, I'm not in employment. So that's good news for me in the fact that I love creating content and I love, I love messing around with video. So it's, this year's been kind of horrible in a lot of ways, but I'll try and look on the positive side of things and think, well, I've had all this extra time just to really sort of focus on doing what I love, and that's spending money on Funko Pops and spending money on records and making videos about it, and it's, it's been a really fulfilling year, really. But I know it's, in other ways, it's been a bad year for many of us. So, I don't want to make light of anything that, people have gone through in 2020, obviously.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. It's been kind of crazy over here too, because I've got my two youngest home. My 16-year-old only goes twice, 2 to 3 times every week to school. and then he's off for the rest of it, and he drives me crazy because he wants to play with his little brother, but his little brother, because he's doing homeschooling, is working from like 9 till 3 p.m. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the extra time with the kids, but it does get very frustrating because I can't imagine how these teachers do it. Like, I give teachers a lot of credit for what they do to deal with 30 kids in one class when I can barely deal with one kid at home, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm sure you're doing a great job.
Yeah, right. Albatross told me not to call you sir because your head will get bigger. Oh, who's his favorite barded hobbit?
I've just got the chat up on my TV and I can see that's Jason. Jason, you know who my favourite bearded hobbit is. I've forgotten his name. He was in Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
You're my second favourite, Jason. No, he's my favourite, really.
Yeah, he's my favorite hobbit too. I love him. Bloody Gamers, welcome in. How's it going? Yeah, I know it's you, Kev. This is Jimmy. Okay, so let's get into the interview. I've got lots of questions. So, and you know what? Feel free to talk as long as you need to explain whatever answer you need to give, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So, and he says, "Oh, bless." Yeah, of course. What would we do without you, Jimmy? Jimmy. What would we do without you, Jace, if we had no laughs?
I always say when I do my Quiplash and Jackbox sessions on a Friday, I say to everyone when we're playing, because obviously Jason's there usually every week, I say this game wouldn't be half as much fun if Jason wasn't here for us to roast him constantly.
Yeah, I know, right? We all need someone to laugh at, right?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Jace.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is obviously the normal question that every interviewer on YouTube asks is, what got you started? When did you start, and why did you start YouTube?
Well, when I started, I mean, that's kind of a difficult question to answer because technically my YouTube channel has existed since, I don't know, I checked the date a while ago, and it was something like December 2009 when I started it. But I don't know, back then you just kind of signed up for, I can't even remember if you signed up for a Google account, but then you signed up for a YouTube one separate. It might have been like that then. I can't remember. So from sort of 2009 to sort of 2017, coming up for 2018, I just kind of, used it as, I've logged in and, I can watch videos and comment. And then I started putting little bits up, just sort of daft little sort of cut-ups and things like that, really. But I didn't consider myself a YouTuber. It was just, I fancy making a video. This is somewhere to put it. But it was really, like I say, 2 years ago, just over, I think, 2018, and when I started to collect Funko Pops, and I was talking to other Funko collectors, particularly in the UK, but there was some great people in America who I got to know sort of quite early on as well. Yeah. And I just they were saying, you've got a YouTube channel. I know you don't really do anything with yourself on screen, but you should, if you're going to be collecting these, then start doing some unboxings, and you don't need to ask me twice to start sort of messing with video and stuff. So the thing is, though, I only ever expected to get like, I don't know, half a dozen Funkos. I never intended for it to be a big collection. I just wanted to get a few, and 2 years later, and oh god, 250 odd, maybe. No, he's probably pushing 300 now. Yeah. So yeah, so yeah, 2018 is like, I always say that's when I started like doing it sort of properly and really sort of planning videos and stuff. But technically, my YouTube channel is like 2009. What's that, like 11 years old, I think, around, or nearly 11 years old.
Well, that's awesome. And the thing is, like, I think I've known you for a couple of years now, and we met through Jason that way. And we met through talking wrestling and everything else, which we'll get to later. But like you said, you're a collector of things, and I can see behind you, you're a collector of stickers and art, and you've got some vinyl, like you were saying. And I know you hate the word vinyl. I learned from Jason you don't like the word vinyl, but
technically, it's the word vinyl to describe a record. It's fine, but it's when you pluralize it. It's like when you call records vinyls. It's like nails down a chalkboard for me. That it's a bit like if you met someone and they were saying the plural of sheep is sheeps. Yeah. I mean, that's just what, to me, it's not right. My brain doesn't like it. It's like, that's instantly wrong. That's stop it. And I don't like the term a vinyl either, which isn't quite as bad. But when sort of, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pick on Jason again here. But when he does a record review video, and Jason's record videos are really entertaining, by the way. They're probably my favorite thing that he does. And it was thanks to him that I started doing more music-related and record-related videos myself. So really, I've got Not Suitable for Mum to thank for that. But when Jason does a record unboxing or review and he says, "Oh, I've got a vinyl here," I'm like, why don't you just call it a record or a disc? But I just get so annoyed by the most pointless things. It's like something important probably won't bother me that much, but something really unimportant like that, I'm like, oh, stop it.
You know what? And actually, I feel you on that. Excuse me. There is a lot of terms that, like my son gets really annoyed when I play Minecraft with them and I call something what it's not. And he's like, every person who plays Minecraft knows the term. Why do you have to call it that? Like, I call redstone, I call them rubies. To me, they look like rubies. You mine them, whatever, right? So no, they are redstone, and that is that. But Jason did tell me when we were doing a live wrestling chat, and he was talking to me, and he says, "Yeah, just make sure you don't call him a vinyl when you talk to Jimmy." And I went, "All right." Now, I call it a vinyl record.
Paddy. All right. Thank you.
I call it a vinyl record, or when I'm talking about records, I'm like, I've got some vinyl.
It is a record, and it's made out of vinyl. It's made out of the actual material is called vinylite. Actually, it's like vinyl's bit of abbreviation, but if you're calling it a vinyl record, then that's like the full thing almost. That's fine. It's just a vinyl just isn't. I don't know. It doesn't sound right in my head. But to answer the original question about collecting things, so I don't mean to go off tangent or anything. It's just when records have come up, I'd have to touch upon it. But I think I'm like a lot of collectors. I'm just essentially like a hoarder, really. If like I've been collecting music on CD for many years. Mini disc. I started getting into collecting mini discs again. That was about 3, maybe coming up for 4 years ago. And actual records, vinyl records, has been a relatively new collection for me. Probably about 1.5 years now, I think, and maybe under. I mean, these are like collections that I've dabbled in when I was younger, record particularly, and mini discs as well. CDs, I've always bought them really since the 90s. I never really stopped, but I had to get a new record player, though it was second hand from eBay to test out some of my dad's old singles, and I just thought, oh, this is fun, let me buy some that I want, and I upgraded my record player. That was about 1 year ago.
Right.
And that's a collection that it's not spiraled quite like the Funko Pops have, but it's there's a lot really that I was there again. I was just like, let's just get a few and calm down, and a few became You know, maybe getting on for 100 records I've bought maybe
Yeah.
in the past year and a half or so. I don't know, but it's yeah, I love music though. That's the thing. I've had music in my life all my life, and I love physical things as well. I do have digital music, like, you know, stuff that's been on a computer and on my phone, but I like something that you can hold and you can feel. And you know, especially when it's got like lovely artwork and stuff like that. If
Oh
you're a
yeah.
collector, then you've got to have something to hold in your hand, something tactile, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at vinyl these days and you see the covers that they put on them and the artwork, even on mini disc or CDs or 45s, just the little covers are just, the artwork on it is absolutely stunning sometimes. Like the artists, I don't know how they come up with these concepts, but they're just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And I don't blame you for collecting them, because I mean, and I understand what you're saying, because you want to look at that cover 10 years from now and go, holy crap, like that's a good album cover and that's a good album, you know. Like I just want to say, hey Reach, welcome in. Hope you're doing well, honey. We got to set up an interview for you too, my love. And Jace Albatross Pops, he says dabbled over. Yeah, there's a term. Yeah. So talking about your collections, what is your absolute favorite collections? Like something that you started collecting and just, you know, say it was the last day on earth and you had to sell everything. What is the one collection you would hang on to that you would never part with, like your absolute favorite?
I've got to go with my gut on this one and say that everything that I've got that's related to the band New Order.
Ah, yes, I noticed that behind you there. Yeah.
Simply because they've been my absolute favorite band, and I've got whereas I'm into a lot of different music and a lot of different acts and a few solo artists, but New Order is the one act, the one group that I'll try and collect as much as possible. Simply because I've just been a massive fan since. I mean, I've been collecting them since the mid '90s, but really, I mean, I remember sort of listening to their music on the radio when I was, you know, 6, 7 years old in the 1980s. So that's a collection. I mean, it's a big one because there's a ton of CDs. I'm building up the record side of it gradually, and I've got DVDs, I've got books. As you can see, I've got framed posters and stuff as well that you can often see in my videos and stuff. So that, although it's not a collection of one specific thing, it's not like, oh, that's Funko Pops or that's just something. But if it's all related to the group New Order, then that'd be the collection that I'd be hanging on to for dear life, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you there. New Order is pretty awesome. I hear you on that. Like, I absolutely love music. The only type of music I can't stand very much of is jazz. I don't know why. I just never really liked jazz. And there's just some beats of some music I can't stand. Or like rap, not a huge fan, but it depends on the rapper. You know what I mean? Like, you know, some of them are really good. I've heard some from Germany that are really amazing, some from the UK, some from the Netherlands, like that are really awesome rappers. But for me, like, well, plus I have kids, so I have to be careful what I use. You can't click on the link.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I love a wide array, if I can spit it out, a wide array of musical genres. I mean, that's something that there again, and that's carried me sort of through childhood and beyond. I've just listened to so many different things. There isn't much that I won't listen to, but like you, one genre that I've never really tried to get into it, but when I've just heard bits, I'm like, no, it's not for me. It is jazz. I wouldn't thank you for putting jazz on. But having said that, if you go to like a nice restaurant and you hear some sort of like smooth jazz in the background, it's quite pleasant just to have on while you're eating. Like, you know, a lot of my music, I love it, but it's like, oh, I wouldn't want to hear it in a restaurant. It'd annoy me, you know. And it could be like one of my favorite songs, but it's like, you know, I don't want to listen to this when I'm trying to just relax with a meal, you know. Maybe on a date, or not that I've been on any dates in quite some time. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Going to a nice restaurant and they've got some smooth jazz playing in the background. But there is a reason for that. It's because it's sort of, it's not. It's nice just to have on as background music. But I know there's other forms of jazz. I think it's what's it called, like freeform jazz, that just kind of sounds like a row, doesn't it? Just like, sort of like random drum beats and someone vaguely playing a trumpet in some sort of musical order. And so I know there's a lot, but jazz, I'm with you there, Vicky. It's not one for me, but I do like a lot of other stuff. I like a fair amount of hip hop and rap, not loads, but quite a bit, depending on who it is. Really massively into electronic music particularly from the 80s, but also from more modern stuff. There's quite a bit of rock and hard rock that I like, a little bit of heavy metal. I really love the German band Rammstein, and they're what I would consider to be industrial metal, or even kind of dance metal to an extent. Really big fan of them. I love sort of all sorts of dance music. Like there's a genre, I don't know how familiar you'll be with it, but there's a genre called happy hardcore that I really like. That's kind of, it's kind of the red-headed stepchild of UK dance music, happy hardcore, and I love it. And I also love Euro dance as well, sort of like your kind of 1990s Ace of Base, Culture Beat.
Absolutely, that's the genre I grew up with.
Master Boy. I mean, some of these, like this kind of, they're not even that well known in the UK, but they're more sort of popular on the continent in Europe. And I love Euro pop and Euro dance. I mean, it's kind of dated now, because a lot that heyday was kind of the 1990s, but there's a lot of music that I like, and a lot of music that I know I like that a lot of people aren't too bothered about, especially in 2020. But you like what you like, don't you? And I do scoff at certain people. I feel a bit bad because Abigail Barry, who I'm sure you'll know, Vicky. She put up a video where she'd bought some CDs on Discogs Marketplace a couple of days ago, and I thought that apart from maybe the one or two within sort of this bundle of 15 or whatever, I thought it was mostly absolute dross. And I was just sat there getting annoyed. It's there again. It's this thing with me. I get angry at things that no one really should get angry about. I was sat there like, why she bought a Maroon 5 album? This is outrageous. Like, why you guys doing decent, bloody hell, wet on CD. This is
Albatross says, don't bring this up again.
Well, to be fair, that's I can't really judge, because a lot of the music, and I'll showcase it. If I've bought something that's from my collection, and I want to open it on camera, I will show it on my channel. And some of the stuff I've shown, it's like I'm sure people will look at that and go, "What's he listening to that for?" Like that was like that was cheesy like 30 years ago. So I might be making other people angry with some of my music choices when I show them in videos. So to be fair to Abby, or anyone else for that matter, and like I say, I watch a lot of Jason's stuff, and Jason, like I say, I love when he does record videos because he's a collector like me, and he's really into the collecting side of it. Yeah. And even Jason is sort of bought these big bundles of records, and like there's been some in there. It's like, did you really have to buy this bundle because it was cheap? That's all rubbish, really, And
just one record, no.
yeah. But like I said, we all like what we like, and it's good to. I think with especially with record collecting, when you sort of go into second-hand shops, record shops, car boot sales, and everything, I think it's good to kind of find something cheap that you're not familiar with, and if you like the cover or something, just take a punt on it. Just spend like a quid or £2, or in your case, dollars or whatever. Bring something home that you've got no idea what it is, and just give it a try. If you don't like it, then just give it away, or if it's in really bad condition, chuck it away. Just see.
Exactly.
I've been down a lot of wormholes regarding music, especially the last year or two, and
Right.
I've discovered. Only this week I discovered. An act, a band who were pretty big, but I wasn't really familiar with them. Ghost from Sweden, and
Oh yes.
yeah, and a lot of my YouTube friends like them as well. Rach Kappa, I know she's a bit of a fan. Geeky Heathen. Yes, I am such a music snob. I just saw that comment on my telly. I am. I'm awful. Even though like some of my tastes are a bit iffy, I'm a real snotty kind of snob for something. But I discovered just only this week the band Ghost, and I'm going to be making a video on them. Touch wood, I'll be doing that tomorrow actually, but have to wait and see. But I just love discovering new bands and new acts, and a website I often mention on my music-related videos is Bandcamp. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Vicky, but probably a couple of people in chat might be, because I do mention it, and it's just a great place to buy sort of like really small independent artists who are releasing their own stuff, and a lot of them release stuff on like cassette tape and even mini disc still, and obviously sort of vinyl record as well. And it's great because when you buy something, you're directly supporting the artist on the little record label, and that's been such a good site to discover new music for me. Music that I would have never heard anywhere else, because I don't really listen to the radio, and none of these people are ever covered on TV. And you would find them on YouTube, but you'd have to sort of know them and search them to find them. You're unlikely, not impossible, but it's unlikely that you would come across them by accident, sort of thing. But you just sort of search what genres you like on Bandcamp, and then it spits out dozens, if not 100 odd, of artists and stuff that you can buy, stuff that you can stream. And I love all that, and I love the fact that if I'm buying something from an artist or a record company, that I'm actually dealing with them directly. There's no kind of big corporate chain or shop or anything in the middle. It's kind of like a more direct transaction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's awesome, because I mean, there's very few websites that you can go to that have that kind of quality. And Jesse was asking if you did live streams earlier on, and yes, Jesse, he does do live streams.
Yeah.
So Jesse's a big music aficionado. He loves to sing and everything else. So Jesse, if you're looking for someone to talk about with music, or talk to about music.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how Vicky feels about people putting my channel link in the chat, but if Vicky doesn't mind, then
I've been doing it. So
thank you. Then play. I do. Yeah, the singing stuff that I do. I mean, there's a couple of different sort of things to talk about there, but generally speaking, I love to talk about music with anyone. I mean, Jason, Not Suitable for Mum, will tell you that from the get-go, and I've sort of bored people and bent their ears over what I like and what I'm into for a long time now. But yeah, as for actual live streams, I don't do any sort of live streams relating to music. I'd like to. It'd be good to sort of set up some sort of kind of like round table panel discussion type thing about music, but that's not something that I'm looking to do at the moment. But if someone said, "Oh, go and do one," I would happily consider it. Yeah. Jason's just reminded me about my Top of the Pops reviews as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of music related content on my channel, including the Smules, which they're more of like they're more meant to be comedy than anything else. As long as you don't take them seriously, they're done totally tongue in cheek. But I don't know. That's something else I've got into mainly this year. Really, just sort of going on the Smule app, and I don't know, it is true what they say. I never really believed it up until this year, really, but you know, if you just sort of like letting yourself go and just having a bit of a sing song, it does help you. It helps your mental health and makes you feel good. It's weird. It's like it releases some sort of endorphin, even though I listen back and I'm like, oh, I can't put this on. I can't put this out on my channel. My voice sounds worse than but you know, it's all about having fun, isn't it? But yeah, I do live streams. Sorry, I forgot the name of the person who was asking me about that.
Jesse.
Jesse, yeah, I do live streams, but they tend to be just kind of like playing Jackbox games on Fridays. I've just recently started doing that again because I've upgraded. Upgraded my computer to something much better than what I was using. So I'm happier to do more live things again now.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier too, a little smoother.
Yeah. Much more seamless and straightforward now for the most part. And and Vicky obviously can attest to this, but up until early this year, we were doing a monthly or regular, sometimes it was twice a month, wrestling pay-per-view discussion panel as well, where we'd predict results. And we went through, I think we went through all of 2019 doing that, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think so. We'll talk about that in a bit because I have a question for that. Yeah. Hey, Kate, welcome in. How you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. We don't sell owls. No, we don't. Chaotic World, welcome in. How's it going? Good to see you. I had messaged you on Twitter a couple times, dude, about a couple things. So I just want to get to the next question for you. Mm-hmm. Now, we were also talking about your Funko Pop collection, which we see to your right, my left of your head there in a nice, beautiful case. Somebody told me you did. No, I don't sell owls. I sell owl merch, but not owls. Talking Funko Pops, what is your ultimate? So I have a few questions on this, though. But what is your ultimate favorite one that you've collected? Your favorite pop?
I think I'm kind of staring around my room now to make sure I've not changed my mind. I think still my favorite one will be the 10-inch Tony the Tiger. I don't know. That was just one that it's not particularly rare. Like there is other earlier Tony the Tigers that are like the standard size, and I think one of them's like worth a few hundred, and then one of them's worth a few more hundred, like the flocked version or something like that. And whereas the 10-inch, but that was one when it came out, I was like, I've got to have that, especially if it's going to be like the other two and it's going to get vaulted quick, or it's going to become like rare and it's limited numbers. But it's just a cool looking pop. But I've got so many. I think that one's going to be my very favorite, probably for quite a long time. But there's others that are very close second. Like I've got Oodles the Noodles Cup.
Oh yes,
that was one I was really happy to get. That's in the Fantastic Plastic range. I mean, that's way up there. A lot of my wrestlers were all out of box because I was originally like an out of box collector. I was only collecting wrestlers as well, so that's kind of stayed like one of my out of box collections. But I've got some really cool ones in the wrestling line. Like for instance, I mean, I got CM Punk fairly recently, and that was a bit of an extravagant purchase, but it's this collector's kind of OCD thing again. It's like, you've got this hole in your collection, and it's like, you just want to fill it. It's like you can't properly relax and have it sort of filed away. Like, tick, I've done that, until you've got the missing piece of the puzzle, as it were. And CM Punk, although he's not quite the missing piece, because my one remaining WWE pop that I really want is AJ Lee and ironically CM Punk's wife. But it's like cheapest I've seen like something like £300, nearly £350. It's for a lump of plastic. I mean, you've got it's. I want her, but I don't want her £350 worth.
No.
Yeah. Well, if money was no object, then
yeah, definitely.
Who knows? But CM Punk, I mean, £140 is what I paid for it. But that was like, oh god, I don't want to be paying that money for a doll again at any point soon. But yeah, as for favourites, like I say, Tony the Tiger, the 10-inch version is a really, really nice pop. That was one that when I placed the order, it just sort of felt good. Oh, I'm going to be getting this. It's great. And like I say, I've got other ones, other favourites. I've got loads of ad icons. I love collecting the ad icons. I've got lots of the fantastic plastic, which Leroy Screwballs kind of got me into because he was collecting those a little before I started to.
Right.
And I've got The Office. I'm a massive fan of the US Office, so I love getting those Funko Pops as well. One of those, the 3-hole punch Jim, that's quite a valuable one now, and that was one that I actually got for free by accident from Pop Culture in Australia. I'd ordered Office's Andy Bernard,
right,
and he sent me the 3-hole punch Jim by accident, and I emailed them or messaged them, whatever, and said, "Yeah, you sent me the wrong thing," expecting that I would have to return this Jim Halpert 3-hole punch Jim to Australia. And they said, "Oh, sorry about that. Keep what we've sent you, and we'll send you out Andy Bernard, what I paid for, which I did." And 3-hole punch Jim, and it made no difference to me. But the value of him is, I don't know why, but the value of him has really shot up. And so it's a bit of a sort of point of smugness for me now. And people, in fact, one of my patrons, Mark, he messaged me today and he was showing me a list of all the Office Pops that he'd bought. And he was like, "Oh, I paid a lot of, I won't say how much, but I've paid a lot of money for 3-hole punch Jim." And I'm like, "Oh, I got that for free, don't you?" Oh, you
rub salt in the wound,
Oh, and Rachel's reminding me about my other collections. Yeah, Breaking Bad, but I'm a massive Breaking Bad fan. I'm glad Rachel's here, actually. She knows my collection better than I do, seemingly. James Bond. I've got loads of Stranger Things. They're all sort of up here, just above
Love those ones, yeah.
Batman, the 1966 version. There is a full collection video on my channel that I did, I think back, maybe that was March or April. But it wasn't a video I was particularly proud of because I didn't shoot my actual pops. I kind of just sort of screen recorded stuff off the Funko app because I wasn't happy with some of the footage that I've shot. But it is a video I would like to revisit at some point. But the thing is, every time I do a full, or anyone I suppose does a full collection video, if you buy something else the next day, that's your video kind of out of date then, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, it's not a full collection anymore because you just got something else. Then you're showing that maybe in another video, and then it's like, buying more, and then in 6 months or a year or whatever, you've got to do another one. It's like, it's the never-ending story, isn't it? The Funko full collection, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this is a thing, like you guys have gotten me into it a little bit. It was Lindsay B that really got me started because I started going to all these other guys. And then when I met you guys, I've learned that you guys were collecting Funko Pops and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want these things. And my biggest one is I've got a 10-inch Frankenberry.
Oh, I've got that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when you got that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I told you right away. I was like, "Guess what? I got it."
Yeah, it wasn't too long after I got mine. I won mine on a Facebook auction, and yeah.
I remember that. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I don't have the Count Chocula because I'm not really a big fan of Count Chocula.
Yeah,
I understand the three of them go together, but I would rather Boo Berry is the one I'm waiting for them to bring out in 10-inch because as soon as they do that, he's mine.
Yeah, I've got the standard size Booberry, like, because there's like original ad icons that are worth like hundreds now, and then there's like re-releases in slightly different poses, and I've got the re-release Booberry in the standard size, but I have got Frankenberry and Count Chocula in the 10-inch size because most of my friends and followers will know this, but I try and be a one character per series person.
Yeah, yeah.
I just worry about just sort of my collection spiraling even more out of control. A bad collection really for me is The Office, because every Office pop they bring out, I really love, but it's like, how many Dwights do I need? How many Jim Halperts do I need? So I've been really good and sticking to like one, and I've got like one Jim Halpert, the 3-hole punch Jim, and I did have another one that, and because I didn't want two of the same guy, I either sold the other one or gave it. I think I gave it away in a giveaway, and so, but it's like I see like, oh no, there's another Dwight that's come out. Oh, that Dwight, he's got his stapler in Jello, or it's Dwight dressed as Recyclops, or it's like, it's like, what are you doing to me? Like, stop tempting me. I'm a one person or one character per series guy. You've got to stop releasing all these variants all the time. For some reason, that seems to be the worst one for me. But I know there's others. Like, I could get like various different versions of the same wrestler, but there again, I try and stick to one. I like to get a chase where possible, but depending on who it is, it's not essential. But I know it's good that I can show some restraint, but
yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at pop collecting these days, I mean, people are just out of control sometimes, I think. And hey, Geeky Heathen, how you doing, Glenn? Good to see you, sweetheart. So glad you guys are coming in. Jimmy, a bit boring, aren't you, Jimmy?
Yeah. No, I'm very conservative when it comes to collecting. Yeah.
You should try collecting Harry Potter when they bring out 20 versions of Harry Potter and Hermione.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that is one. I mean, I know. Rach is a big Harry Potter fan, and I know. I think Rach would like a full sort of collection, and that's fair enough, because I know what a super fan she is of it. And it is a great. I've got one Harry Potter pop, and it was a free gift. It was like a 3 for 2 thing from EMP. No, it wasn't 3 for 2. It was just like a free. You had to click a box for a free gift from EMP. It was the 6-inch Madame Maxime, and I like Harry Potter. I wouldn't say I'm as big a fan of it as say Rach Kappa or Jess and Peyton are, but I'm not averse to getting more Harry. I would like a Hagrid of the same size, because I just think that'll look good next to my Madame Maxime.
Yeah,
but just going back to what you were saying a moment ago, Vicky. Because I remember I sent you a Funko Pop, didn't I? I sent you, was it Dr. Robotnik or someone or Eggman? It was someone from Sonic, weren't it?
And, it was Dr. Robotnik, I think, or Dr. Eggman, something like that.
At the time, I assumed, because you were sort of, we had sort of mutual friends, and everyone seemed to be in this like international Funko community. I just assumed that you were like quite a hardcore collector. And then when you got it, it was like, oh, this is like only like the sort of, I don't know what it was, 4th or 5th pop or something that you never got. I'm like, oh, hang on, I've got more than her. Well, I just assumed you were like sort of like a massive Funko collector.
I love them. I just can't afford them, dude. I just can't afford them. It's like, the thing is, like, there is so many like the one I really want to. There's actually 2 I really am like desperate to get my hands on, which leads into my next question to you. Is I need a Tinkerbell, because I have her tattooed on my leg. She's my favorite Disney character, and the other one is a Blueberry Pop. Now the 10-inch, we know they haven't come out with yet, but even a small Blueberry Pop, that is one thing, and they're worth like $400 or $500 somewhere in some places more.
The original Blueberry, yeah.
So for me, it's hard. And Yummy Mummy is the other one I want to try and get too. But Geeky Heathen says there's 22 different versions of Rick from Rick and there is, and that's the problem. I mean, they bring one out and then they have to bring 20 other poses out. So a real hardcore collector of that thing has to get them. I'm Tinkerbell. If I die, I die if I don't get enough attention. All right. So leading into the question I was going to ask you, what is that one pop that you really, really want, but it's been out of your reach this whole time? You just can't seem to get it. It's either too expensive. You just can't seem to get it. Is there one?
Well, I mean, I've probably answered this already in the fact that just simply because she's like the one last piece of the puzzle. I mean, my WWE collection, which is by far my biggest collection.
AJ Lee, yeah.
You know, I'm really, you know, that's the reason I collect pops is because I wanted some wrestling pops. You know, that thanks to the WWE line that, you know, it's just kind of got to this level. But AJ Lee is, I think that's going to be, you know, not an impossible grail, but something that's, you know, if I stick to my guns, it's going to be unobtainable unless I can find someone kind of selling it for, you know, maybe half of what it's worth because they don't really know what it's worth, kind of thing. Because you do get that, and that's one of the fun parts about being a Funko collector. It's for me, it's the bargain hunting. It's like going on. I like eBay. I know not everyone does, but personally, I love eBay because I just like going on and going on in the auctions and all the nerds you get in the last minute and everything. And I like finding bargains, you know, finding things that people have listed, and it's like, oh, I know that's worth more than that, but they've listed it, and it's a buy it now, and I can get that. It's cheap. Yeah, I love all that, and Funko's ideal for that kind of thing. Really, when you're looking for bargains, yeah, some of them will always be expensive. You know, you saw. I think what is it? Is it a metallic Dumbo or something that's worth thousands? Yeah. And you know, Headless Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. That's one that I remember hearing about when I first started collecting. That was like the grail everyone wanted 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants that now because the last series of Game of Thrones was so bad. But well, in my opinion, I should add.
I never watched it, so don't feel bad.
But I mean, yeah, Scarlett's right. I do love eBay. I've been using eBay not for Funkos, obviously, but for, you know, buying and selling all sorts of everything for like, I don't know, 17, 18 years, probably longer actually, because my daughter's almost 18, and I'm sure I've been using it longer than she's been born. So yeah, best part of 20 years probably. But yeah, AJ Lee, I say, is my one unobtainable or kind of like sort of dream grail Funko Pop that I want to own. But there's others that I would like to get, and I know they're really expensive. Like some of the ad icons I would like to get, you know, and some of the cereal mascots. I've got quite a lot of them, mainly like the newer reissue ones, but there's other ones like I think there's like that Fruit Loops toucan that I'd really like, and I don't think that's particularly old. I think that maybe only be a year or so old, but
I think so, yeah.
It's like I think its value on a website I saw recently was something like £450, and I'm like, I'm not paying that kind of money. You know, I wouldn't pay that. So, you know, I wouldn't pay 300 for AJ Lee, so I'm not going to pay 450 for this metallic toucan. No matter, even though I would absolutely love that in my collection, because that is a really nice pop. And it's weird, really, with ad icons, because the majority of them, for me being in the United Kingdom, the brands that I'm familiar with them on kind of a bit of a small level, but because we don't get a lot of these products in the UK, like we've never had stuff like Count Chocula or Boo Berries. Yeah. You know, I don't think they'd be allowed to sell those like officially in this country because like all the preservatives are banned in the United Kingdom. But I still love all the ad icons. Like Morton Salt Girl. I'd never heard of Morton Salt. I mean, I've been to America. I mean, I lived there for about 6 months when I was younger, and that was just something that totally passed me by. And it was like, but I saw this Morton Salt Girl come out. Lovely Funko Pop, one of the nicest ad icons I've got. I think actually that.
Wow.
I've got the common, and then more recently I upgraded to the diamond edition. That was my first diamond edition pop, but it was really nice. And then I gave away the common to Jess and Peyton, because Jess is she's another big ad icons collector.
Okay.
but that's a lovely pop. But yeah, so there's a lot of the ad icons that I would love to get.
Yeah.
I think a couple of the fantastic plastics that I probably will never get because they're kind of getting up there in price. But yeah, out of all of them, like yeah, it's AJ Lee for me.
Okay.
You know, and then they're not going to re-release her either, are they? Because
No.
she doesn't even work in any wrestling promotion anymore, does she? So.
Not at the moment, no. But
no. I mean, never say never, obviously. But so yeah, I think I've got to say AJ Lee for my my main grail. I think.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And the thing with AJ Lee, there is news floating around of her return. We shall see. I mean, there's always rumors and whatever. Jason popped a link in the chat there, I think, for you, an eBay link. He says, Jimmy, it's out of box. That's all it is. And I'm not banging on Game of Thrones. It's just that I never really got into it because I was too into Supernatural and Arrow and all that stuff. I watch all that stuff, so I'm more a sci-fi thriller.
Game of Thrones is great if you stop watching it. I think after season 4, maybe 5. If you ignore the last season and a lot of the one before it, it's fine. It's just, that last season was so bad.
Yeah, really I heard that from a lot of Game of Thrones fans. They were actually really disappointed with the way that they ended the show. So, yeah, here's Jimmy. That's from Scarlett. Okay, so the next question I have for you is we're going to change the subject a little bit. I don't know, like I'm not good with links. I know how to get your YouTube link and stuff like that, but if you want to put your Patreon link in the chat, if anybody, it's up to you. But you do have Patreon, which I'm a member of your Patreon.
Thank you.
If you'd want to, if you don't want to, that's fine.
I mean, if someone else, I mean, I know there'll be a couple, at least 3 or 4 of my actual patrons who are in the chat. So if any of them can put it in. I mean, because otherwise it'll be me faffing on my phone for 2 minutes, and I'd rather you just sort of carry on going with the flow that we've got, and especially as I'm now feeling that like I'm giving like really long answers, and you probably not you don't want me to, I'm a bit more concise.
No, I think you're good. You're good. I mean, I want people to get to know you, right?
Yeah.
Whatever answers you give, and I said that before we went live, whatever answers you give, whatever you need to say it, because we want people to get to know Jimmy Barnes, right? So, and Jason or Scarlett or anybody, if they could get the link for Jimmy's Patreon and just pop that in the chat, if anybody would like to go and support him.
I believe it's patreon.com/Jimmy Barnes YT.
Okay.
I believe that's it. So I won't try and faff around and type it, but I'm 99% certain I got it right by saying it there. So yeah, I've been on Patreon now for that will be coming up for about 1.5 years, and I try and thank my patrons in every video that I make, or every video that I'm physically speaking in. But now that Vicky's brought it up, I do obviously would like to take this opportunity to thank Vicky and all my other patrons. In Vicky, I think you were like the sort of second one, I think, that ever joined after Rage. I think not that not that I think anyone's more important than if you're a patron, then you're all equal in my eyes. Apart from me, I'm further up there. That was something that I decided to do. Just I don't know. I just felt it'd be a good motivator. I mean, there's not a lot of money in it, but there's enough money for me to be able to put back in for like giveaway prizes. And I love giving things away. I love running giveaways and sending out acts of kindness. And so in that respect, Patreon has just worked perfectly. And I still get the odd one come in now and again. I think my newest patron, I think, is UK Random 78.
Okay.
Or did Scarlett join after him? I think it was around the same time. It'll either be Albatross Pops or UK Random, who's my newest one. So we're sort of hovering close to the 20 amount, which is I never expected to get like more than a couple when I started. It was like I forget like 2 or 3 people who throw me a couple of pound every month, that's fine. But to get to nearly 20, then Scarlett says she's the newest.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, yeah, I try and run as many giveaways on Patreon as possible. I mean, what I still have to spend money from my own pocket to kind of make up the deficit. So it's not like I can do it kind of every week or even every month sometimes, but I do it as often as possible. And thank you, Jace. And it's a good motivator for me. It's like if I know that there's like 17, 18, 19 people who are giving me a little bit of money out of their own pocket because they enjoy my content, then that's like a kick up my backside. Like, keep doing it, keep working hard. And I'm not saying it's not a motivation to have all my subscribers, because that's a great motivator as well. But it's just that extra level, and the sort of, I can have like a one-on-one conversation with any of my patrons, whereas, I'll never manage to speak to every single one of my subscribers. And I've got a lot of great subscribers, some people who don't even do YouTube, but like they're right there, like commenting on my videos every time I put one up, and I really appreciate that as well. I love getting comments, and I love interacting with people. But yeah, Patreon, I'm so grateful to every single person who's ever been a patron for me. And like I say, I try and give something back from it. I don't do it to try and make money for myself, because that's not possible at my level. But what is possible is for me to run these extra Patreon only giveaways, and also to try and just foster a little community between us, and we have the little chat group and stuff, and I try and be accessible and things like that, and I try and help people. I did one of the patrons, Dark Unicorn Moon Nikki, you might know her, Vicky. I did a little intro clip for her recently.
Yeah.
And I've done stuff. I did one not too long back for Scarlett, for Albatross Pops, and that's not like a patron perk or anything. I mean, like, if someone came to me and asked me, and I knew them, and I knew that they were on YouTube, and I liked their stuff, I would do it for them, whether even if they weren't a patron of mine, if they were just someone I've spoken to a couple of times. But it's nice that I've got these, we've got this community of people from all over the world, really. You're in Canada. I've got other American patrons like Project Pops, who's a lovely guy, Crazy Stone Gamer, who's just such a sweetheart and a big supporter. And obviously, a lot of people from the United Kingdom as well. And that's the best thing about Funko collecting for me, because that's what seems to be the main thing that we've all got in common to an extent, is that I think all of us own at least one Funko Pop. Some of us many more than one. But it's the community that I've been involved with the past couple of years has meant the world to me, and just making all these friends. A lot of them are in the chat with us right now. I do try and thank people and say how grateful I am to be in this community when I do kind of my Patreon exclusive sit down chat videos and things like that. But I'll always repeat it. I'll repeat it till people start getting sick of hearing me. I love the community. It's the best thing about collecting Funko Pops for me, is just all the friendships that have come about from it. It's been really special to me, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone else there as well. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it has been really good, and I think I was your second right after Rach, and this is the thing. We enjoy your content, which is why we support not just your YouTube, but your Patreon and everything else. It's because we enjoy a good laugh and everything else. So we want to get more into your YouTube channel itself. We do the prediction shows. We did it all of last year. We were talking the other day actually about you bringing them back.
Yes, we will, yeah.
Do you have a set date when we're going to bring that back? And basically, we're going to talk. like Rach and Jason are also part of the prediction panel that we do.
Mhm.
But yeah, do you have any clue as to when you want to start that?
I'm aiming, because I just think it seems the ideal time to start, because we started at that kind of time originally back in 2019. But I think January, I'm really sort of focused, and then we can sort of say, right, okay, 2020 was a write-off.
Yeah.
It was a shame that we stopped. I mean, there was a couple of reasons for me. It was like I was kind of, I think we're all kind of bummed out over the state of the world and the state of wrestling within the, within the context of the pandemic as well. Stuff was being pre-taped, and I was worried about spoilers. And then to compound that, I had my own sort of technological kind of bugbears. Like, I hate using this old computer that I had for streaming.
Yeah.
It's all right for sort of the occasional game of Quiplash or something, but just I was kind of burnt out on the whole panel thing around sort of WrestleMania time, and in a way, I kind of wish we had got back to it sort of maybe like sort of this summer, but we can make a fresh start in January, I hope, and Royal Rumble. I mean, I love the Royal Rumble. I think everyone who's a wrestling fan loves the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's always a really fun one to predict, and I think that'll be a great place for us to sort of jump back into it. Really, assuming that that Rach and Jason and you, of course, are all on board. That is something that I'm definitely 100% focused on. I think it's a good time to restart and then do the like Jason will keep scores of who's got the most predictions right. I think Rach won it in 2019, the prediction contest, didn't she?
Yep.
The irony is, I think I was winning it this year, and we just decided to call it quits. So who knows? Yep. I might have been running away with it by now, but I've not enjoyed wrestling as much this year for obvious reasons. But I've not enjoyed a lot of things. It's like sort of other television. Like, I watch a lot of British soap operas, and like they've all sort of come back on TV in sort of quite recent weeks and months, and they just don't all look right because everyone's having to sort of stand like a meter or 2 meters away from each other, and like there's been weddings and stuff, and it's like the bride and groom can't even stand next to each other.
Yeah,
because if they filmed anything like that, it'd contravene COVID guidelines and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that I haven't, because they've had to change so much, and wrestling's obviously been one of them this year. I've kind of been a bit sort of, but other things I have enjoyed. Like I say, I've always got my music, I've always got my Funko Pops, I've always got my friends, I've got loads of DVDs and stuff. Comedy. I'm a big comedy fan. I love sitcoms. I love certain sketch comedy as well. I'm a massive comedy nerd, really. I'll talk about that. In fact, don't get me started on it, Vicky, because I could talk about that for hours, really. But so it's I look on the bright side. Okay, if wrestling's not very good, just give it a break for a couple of weeks or whatever, and watch something else. I've always got something that I can be doing, something I can be watching, something I can be listening to. I've always got video work that I can be doing or planning for. Yeah. I write little bits here and there, just kind of funny little things. I try and never be bored. If I sit down and I'm bored, then there must be something really wrong, because I've always got something that I can do.
Yeah, you got a ton of stuff that you can keep up with and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm the same way. You got kids, you're never bored, right? So.
That too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Jason, Rach are on board for that. So there you go, chat. In January, look forward to our wrestling prediction panel returning. We'll be on Jimmy Barnes's channel because that's his baby. And we love it because we get to talk about wrestling. And that's
it's a great panel. And obviously, if you're not a wrestling fan, but still come along and say hello and just, sit and watch 4 wrestling nerds just talk about WWE and probably have a bit of a moan most of the time as well. And, It's great, and thank you to Vicky and to Rach and to Jace for being on the panel, and I'm like I say, I'm sorry that things kind of ended with it this year, but that was just the kind of frame of mind I was in over the wrestling business in general and everything surrounding COVID and stuff. But 2021, I'm not saying everything's going to be magically better by then, but there's no reason why we can't sort of have a fresh start with the predictions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 has been a real crap year, and I do feel you on that. I mean, this year has just been, like you said, it just all of a sudden went to, we were doing all this fun stuff, so all of a sudden you're not allowed to do anything. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, for me it was, oh great, now I actually have to clean my house. Now,
but yeah, God, that's the worst.
I know, right? But this is what we had to deal with. We've had a lot of ups and downs this year, and I don't blame you for feeling a little bit down, because we all kind of went, great.
Yeah.
This sucks. We can't see family. Like, I couldn't go visit my mom, and my mom's in a nursing home, and that sucked big time for me.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So I feel you on that one. Yeah, this year's been a complete write-off. I agree with you there. Now, my next question is still WWE, but I'd like to ask you, like, I know my view on the WWE and this year, some of the pay-per-views and some of the stuff that they did was completely stupid. I'm just going to put it out there. It was completely stupid, dropped storylines from out of nowhere and stuff like that, which we've been talking about, Jason, I, and Steve. But what is your least favorite and favorite wrestlers, old, new, whatever, of all time? Your least favorite and favorite, and your view on the WWE right now.
Well, I'll start with the good with my favorite. I mean, my favorite wrestlers. I've had a few kind of that I've sort of swapped around over the years, but when I was younger, my favorites were always Bret Hart and British Bulldog. They were like my childhood guys.
Yeah.
And I'm still big fan of Bret Hart. And I mean, he's kind of special because he's like the guy that I've met, and I've got a photo with him that you won't be able to see it, but it is up there somewhere. Okay. And, you can sometimes occasionally catch a glimpse of it in my videos. But just about to meet him, and that was not long after he finally returned to WWE after all those years away as well. So it was great to actually meet him and shake his hand and say, "Look, it's great to see you back again." And you could tell how touched he was that his fans still wanted to see him.
Yeah, definitely.
Sort of as I got into my teens and then 20s and up till now, when I'm years old, then my favourites really, Shawn Michaels. I absolutely love him. He never had the greatest attitude in his prime, but man, could he perform? The ladder matches he had with Razor Ramon, absolute classics. I mean, I can watch them, any day of the week. And another guy who I always kind of liked, even back when I was a kid and or a young teenager, and I didn't like many heels or anything, but I do like Ric Flair. Just massively entertaining. I mean, for me, he's more entertaining as kind of like a promo and a kind of comedic kind of, sort of like almost like a. I'm trying to think. I nearly said like coked up then, but I don't want to accuse him or anything. But it's kind of like really wild-eyed, sort of, frenzied sort of party boy thing that he's had going on for like, I don't know, 70 years or however old he is. But yeah, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, my favourites. Oh, least favourites. Now then, if you'd asked me this sort of, I think 10 years ago, I would have said, I can't stand John Cena.
Yeah.
I think a lot of now, if you say, what do you think of John Cena? I'll say, he's never been my favourite. I've never liked him massively, but I respect the contributions he's made to the business.
Absolutely.
But 10 years ago, I thought, well, yeah, he's just been overpushed. He could do with kind of getting a bit of an edge. If he won't turn heel fully, then you know, they need to tweak his character just so he's not this kind of kid-friendly sort of cringe lord kind of guy. Another thing I didn't like about John Cena, sort of in his prime, was that he seemed to have a little bit too much clout. You know, he you know, I remember his feud with the Nexus and like their first match at, what was it, SummerSlam 2010 or 2009, one of those. And you know, like the Nexus really should have won that match, and John Cena, you know, he ended up winning it for his team, didn't he? And as soon as that happened, the Nexus thing was dead. Really, you know, there was no saving it. So I didn't like that about him. But I know there's been other characters you know, other wrestlers who've had a lot of stroke over the years. Shawn Michaels was one of them, certainly, during sort of the mid-90s. Hulk Hogan, I mean, he's had massive power in the industry for, you know, many, many years. But for least favorite wrestlers, based on kind of how they've performed and things like that, I've got to go with like the ones who've been like really kind of awful, like your sort of Giant Gonzalez and Great Khali. I mean, he was pretty terrible. Great Khali was. I mean, they all to me, they all kind of have sort of slight redeeming qualities in that. Well, yeah, Giant Gonzalez, he was bad, but he reminds me of a time of wrestling, not in '93, that I quite enjoyed because I was really getting into it then for the first time. And everyone hates on WrestleMania 9, and I love WrestleMania 9. There's something about it. I think it's a really sort of fun show that everyone always says that's one of the worst WrestleManias ever. But yeah, Giant Gonzalez, or El Gigante as he was in WCW. I remember because I used to collect a few WCW DVDs and videotapes before like the network came along. And I remember seeing El Gigante versus Sid Vicious at Super Brawl. It might have been Super Bowl 1, actually, in 1991. Oh, my God, what a stinker that was. If ever you've got the chance to see that, Vicky, don't. That is bad. And I like Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid. Like, he's someone else. Like, he's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I think... you know, yeah, he was never the greatest worker, but there's just something about the way he delivered his promos and the kind of natural charisma he had that I'll defend Sid up against anyone, because a lot of people think he's the absolute pits. Whereas me, I'm not going to say he was ever the greatest worker ever, because he obviously isn't or wasn't. But Sid was, he's not one of my all-time favourites, but he's kind of sort of, you know, around the top 10 area just because of his character. I loved his character in, particularly in late 90s WCW, when Nitro and Thunder and everything started going off the cliff a bit. He was actually one of the few highlights of Nitro every week. That's why a lot of the stuff he was saying was just completely nonsensical, and it was just funny after a while. It was like, oh, well, Nitro's been bad, but well, at least Sid's on in a bit. His band say something stupid that'll make us laugh. Sid Vicious is a guilty pleasure. I know you weren't asking me for my guilty pleasures, but when I mentioned the match with El Gigante, I mean, from back in 1991, that was awful. But El Gigante. The Undertaker couldn't get a good match out of him. Like, no, I don't think anyone could. So yeah, guys like El Gigante I've never liked. Great Khali. You know, it was all right as a comedy character, but did anyone want to see the Great Khali as world heavyweight champion? No.
No, nobody. He was just one of those fillers, you know. Like, if they needed a giant guy to do something funny, they pulled him out, you know. And
exactly, yeah. And there'll be other guys who I can't really think of offhand, but people. So I'm just looking at the chat, and Jason's asking about Gail Kim. I think he's referring to being eye candy. I mean, you're asking me about also the state of WWE. Well, I mean, in 2020, it's. I mean, we had a lot of moans about WWE
Oh.
in 2019, didn't we? I mean, looking back, they were kind of like halcyon days, really, weren't they? It was like, oh wow, can we go back a year when like the world wasn't on fire, sort of thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, WWE have had a long-standing problem for many years, with just they've got a guy at the top who's massively out of touch, is kind of getting more and more eccentric as he gets older. Vince McMahon, obviously, I'm talking about. He's a guy who all logic would suggest he should retire. He should go away quietly and enjoys millions of dollars and just live out however long he's got left in luxury and comfort. But he's just this weird workaholic, kind of obsessive compulsive megalomaniac, but he's one who is completely out of touch with pop culture. I mean, there's a reason, and I love NXT. I've said this on the panel many times. NXT, fantastic brand, fantastic show. There's a reason why NXT is, as far as I'm concerned, 20, 30 times better than Raw and SmackDown, because Vince McMahon doesn't have his grubby fingerprints all over NXT like he does with Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, Triple H is in charge.
Yeah, Triple H. I'm not saying Triple H. Yeah, I like Triple H. I like him as a performer, and I certainly like him as an executive. But I'm not saying he was kind of whiter than white throughout his career, because he wasn't. He was someone else who knew how to play the politics game. But as an executive and as someone who he brought back Halloween Havoc, for NXT. That was, you've got to give him credit for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, him and I think Shawn Michaels has a lot to do with NXT at the moment as well, and that's just a consistently good brand. It focuses on actual wrestling and storylines that make sense. Whereas you watch Raw and SmackDown, like they just kind of drop storylines just out of nowhere, and it's like, well, weren't those two supposed to be feuding last week, and then like like together this week, or he's got on something else, or she's doing something else? There's no kind of. I like storytelling, be it in like soap operas or sitcoms or wrestling shows. I like it to be coherent and for the arc to make sense. And if you're not telling good stories in wrestling, it's just like, well, it's supposed to be a form of entertainment. You're supposed to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and for it to make some semblance of sense, and that's just the thing with Vince McMahon. Oh, bye, Glenn. Sorry, I missed him leaving there. That's basically where I am with WWE in 2020. They're kind of the same that I was in 2019. Only, obviously, I've just not been enjoying wrestling, and that's obviously not WWE's fault.
No,
I do think that maybe they could have closed down for a little bit, maybe after WrestleMania, possibly. It was, for me, it was a little bit iffy that they decided just to sort of carry on regardless. But I understand both sides of that. I mean, AEW did it, but I think they did it in a more safer way. Whereas other organisations like NWA, for instance, I mean, they've been closed down for quite a while now. New Japan closed for quite a few months until they restarted again. I think that might have been September when they kicked things back up. So, it depends on where you are in the world and who's running the show, kind of thing. It was pretty obvious Vince McMahon wasn't going to shut down WWE unless he was physically forced to by, I don't know, a martial law or some sort of government directive or something, But WWE, I'm not saying it'll be like it forever, but it's the main brands, Raw and SmackDown, out of touch, just not consistently enjoyable. But I like watching the pay-per-views, kind of as like standalone events. Often they're out of context for me because I don't follow enough of the storylines, but it's kind of like a monthly event. It's like a bit of a sort of monthly treat kind of thing. But everything could be a lot better. I'm looking forward to the time coming where I'll happily record Raw and SmackDown and watch them religiously every week like I used to years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is too, like, I like where they're going right now with this whole Alexa Bliss storyline with the Fiend and everything else. Like, that's my biggest investment in WWE right now,
Yeah,
just watching that and stuff. And I do agree with you. I mean, I think WWE, I think all wrestling should have shut down at least for a month or two
yeah,
to
yeah.
test everybody, to make sure who was on board and who wasn't, and
Mm.
stuff like that. That's why we lost Roman Reigns in the one match that he was supposed to be in, because he does have leukemia. It keeps coming
Yeah,
back, whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And I understand a lot of people bagged on him because he took that time off, but they do
yeah.
understand he's got 5 kids at home. He's got a wife. He's, like, he keeps getting leukemia, keep coming back.
Yeah, it's they say it's the COVID thing. If there's a lot of people who are in this sort of high risk bracket because they've got a weakened immune system. Well, if you've had leukemia or any form of cancer, really, and it's something that's like recurring over the course of your life or a few years or whatever, then of course if why people would want to badmouth a man for thinking of his own health and safety and his own family's well-being, because what is it? Well, his family aren't going to want to lose their father, lose their husband, son, whoever Roman Reigns is to people, just because Vince McMahon said, "Oh, I need you for WrestleMania," like the weirdest WrestleMania of all time, like in the Performance Center with no noise or anything, just a really sort of jarring and kind of weird kind of viewing experience for me personally. It's like, no, he's had leukemia. Leave him alone, for God's sake. Let him have as much time off as he needs. If he's that important to you, then you'll wait for him to be, to be 100% and wait for him to come back. And that's what, fortunately that for him, he was allowed this time off. And he's come back, and he's actually, like you were saying with the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. I mean, I think Roman Reigns and sort of his more aggressive persona. I mean, he's essentially a heel. I think that's pretty much definite by now.
Oh, yeah.
But that's been a real bright spot for me. That among quite a lot of dross on Raw and SmackDown, but Roman Reigns coming back and being with Heyman and having this edge has been. I've really enjoyed that, and I loved his Hell in a Cell match with Jey Uso. Was Jey, weren't it? Or not Jey? I always get those mixed up. Yeah, I think that feud with Jey Uso has been really, really interesting. It's been and that proves kind of it proves what I was saying before. WWE could put on a consistently good show if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But there's no consistency. It's like, yeah, you've got all this stuff with Roman Reigns, and that's really good. But why can't you make the rest of the show that good? There's nothing.
Exactly.
I'm not saying everything will be perfect 100% of the time, but just if Roman's going to get a good push because he's like the top guy, which is understandable. But it doesn't mean you have to just kind of ignore your mid card and like everyone else gets like the sort of drags and everything. That's what we're watching it as fans. We're the ones consuming this content and this entertainment. We want the product to be good so that we keep spending our money on it, on the network, on merchandise, etc., etc. So we want it to be as consistent as possible so that the company survives. If WWE or Vince McMahon, and his cronies, his kind of sycophants and people who will just say yes to him no matter what. If they just kind of open their minds just a little bit, things could be a whole lot better very quickly, I think. But that's just my opinion.
I agree with you there too. And this is the thing. I think that's why Eric Bischoff left and everything else. So, all right. Yeah. Well, I got some more. I got lots of questions for you, but
I've gone on long enough. You don't want to ask me anymore.
No.
That's fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I've gone on too long about certain things, that's me. I'm afraid.
But it depends on how long you want to go. That's the thing, because I know
I'm happy to go for as long as you are. I mean, this is your interview, your channel. If you need to cut off at a certain point, I understand totally. But if you're happy to continue, then I am.
Absolutely. As long as you want to go on, I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'll try and make my answers a bit shorter.
All right. Don't worry about it. But okay, the next question I had to talk to you about was we were talking earlier about your vinyl collection.
Mhm.
What is your favorite album from that? Like the top thing you've collected from that? Because I know you love music and everything else, but your favorite vinyl record that you've collected.
Um, there we go. That's a tricky one. That um, I've got a couple of New Order box sets that they're not just vinyl records. They've got CDs and DVDs in them as well. I would have to say those simply because they're like real sort of high end premium collector's sets, and they're almost. I mean, I have opened them and played them, but they're kind of almost sort of they're there to be in a collection rather than there to be used kind of thing. But for sort of records that I would pick up and play sort of quite regular, an artist that I got into this year, although I've listened to his music for a few years, but really got into him this year, was a guy from originally from Denver, Colorado. I think he's based in Brooklyn now. Picture Plane, really good electro artist, and
Okay.
I've collected all of his albums over the past year or so, and there was I listened to a couple of them again recently. Technomancer and Degenerate, his last two albums. I mean, they're two of my favourites in my collection right now. I'm not saying sort of they won't get overtaken at some point, but yeah, I think anything by Picture Plane, particularly his last two albums, Degenerate and Technomancer, are my favourite vinyl record albums, LPs certainly at the moment, but that will probably change at some point, I think, as my collection evolves.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I used to have a bunch of CDs and cassettes and stuff like that. And like we were talking earlier, our taste in music and stuff like that depends. And as time progresses, I mean, they discontinue stuff like CDs, and eventually they will. It'll be everything is going to be on MP3. Which on my phone I've got over 1,000 songs, and I was going to tell you we found a suitcase that my dad had brought over to store in my basement for a bit, but it has a bunch of gospel music vinyl albums in it.
Oh wow!
Vinyl records. So my son's like, I don't really like gospel music, but I just want to get a record player so that I can play them. So
Yeah,
I can,
yeah, that's good. That yeah,
I,
it'd be good. Yeah, find a cheap record player. I mean, if you don't like the gospel stuff, then fair enough. He might do. I mean, that'd be great. But it'd be a nice sort of excuse to kind of get into it really, and sort of get the next generation involved. I mean, my kids aren't interested. I mean, they use Spotify a little bit, which I don't care about at all. But they're not interested in me collecting records. They didn't, they're barely interested in CDs. Yeah, but that's just my kids. Hopefully there'll be plenty more out there who, are gonna keep physical media like CDs and I suppose like cassette tapes and mini disc and even CDs, which I know a lot of people find really boring now. But I remember when I got my first CD player in 1995, I think it was.
yeah.
I mean, and CD had been out it'd been out sort of about 12 years or so in the UK, but for me, it was like still a new format for me. It was like, oh wow, a CD, like a disc that's read by lasers. This is magical. I mean, 15 years old, like being sort of dazzled by compact disc. So yeah, while I don't find, I do still buy CDs depending on who the artists are, but I don't find getting them as exciting as I do records because I like all the big artwork on records, and I like the sound and the crackles you get from analog vinyl music. But I'll always defend CDs because I remember there was a point in my life when I was in my mid-teens where I got my first CD player, and it was like the best present I'd ever got at that point. Yeah. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I do. You know what? And I do love that crackle. I miss that crackle of listening to the vinyl record. Just that, it just sounded natural. And you listen to music, there's like no crackle. It's all crystal clear, or it's that auto-tune voice thing or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, I really like that. And I do miss that. I remember, like, I'm as old as when there was 8 tracks in your car. Okay, the 8-track stereo in your car.
We never massively caught on over here. We did have them. Not me personally or my family, but they were sold over here. But it wasn't particularly a car format. It was more for like a home format over here. Like they just went from like having a radio to like a cassette deck over here. They didn't really do the 8-track stuff over here for cars, but yeah, I'm a subscriber and a patron to a brilliant channel on YouTube called Techmoan. I mean, he reached 1 million subscribers a few months back, and he's done videos on 8-track equipment and 8-track cartridges. So if you want a bit of a nostalgia hit, Vicky, I recommend you go over and search up Techmoan and 8-track, because he he repaired like an old 8-track player, and then he demonstrated one that he'd put in his hi-fi rack and everything. So that was fun. But I love learning about old tech, especially all this old tech that I never used. And I've learned about so much sort of retro hi-fi related stuff. I mean, it's all fascinating to me, all that. It's like a really kind of, stuff that I'll never own, because I just haven't got the money to be spending on getting all this stuff that I don't really need. But it's just, to be able to live vicariously through this YouTube channel and just learn about all these obscure formats and bits of equipment is brilliant.
You'll have to send me that link on Messenger later, and I'll go check.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, because that sounds awesome. Because and the thing is, like I said, the one thing that you and I and Jason Rach have always connected on is music and wrestling and everything else. So I definitely I love the old stuff, like Mr. Sandman and stuff like that, like the 50s and 60s stuff, the 40s. I do love that kind of music every once in a while too, especially at Christmas time. Bing Crosby's my favorite singer at Christmas time. So stuff like that. Thank you, Scarlett. I don't know what Vicky is on about. I don't even know what an 8-track is.
Oh, she's young, Scarlett. She's like mid-20s. Like she's lucky she knows what a CD is. Well, no, I'm exaggerating a bit there, but yeah. She doesn't understand like we do, Vicky. No, she's too young.
Yeah, it's funny. I laughed at it because I'm like, okay, thanks a lot. Make me feel old. I'm almost 50, so shh. Okay, anyways. Yeah, that's our secret. Another thing that we would like to know, to get to know you a little bit better besides music, is I absolutely love this about you. And you had mentioned at the beginning, you like to fiddle with videos and pictures and everything else. Your thumbnails and your use with Photoshop and everything else, Jimmy, you are a whiz when it comes to do. Some of them are absolutely, I die laughing looking at some of those thumbnails. You are very talented when it comes to that. What got you into doing that? Like, it just.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got, all it is just I've got like a couple of apps on my phone that like I've sort of used like way before even the YouTube stuff, where I just like, oh, it'd be funny if I put like someone I know's head on a famous person's body kind of thing, and it all stemmed from that I was kind of putting, sending these silly pictures and things to people on Twitter and Facebook and what have you, just trying to entertain my friends really. And then obviously I started doing YouTube like sort of full on 2018, and I know a lot of people were sort of really working hard on their thumbnails, and I'm like, oh, I'm just not good enough to get anything done like that. And I was looking at my thumbnails, and it was basically a screenshot of me during the video, and then I've overlaid like a couple of logos and stuff on it, and I'm like, oh, these are really boring. I just like don't enjoy doing these thumbnails at all. They're just like dull. It's like the worst part of like the whole YouTube thing. But then I realized, but at this point I'd, made a lot of friends, and I was sort of, like making myself laugh probably more than anyone else with like, putting Jason's head on certain bodies and things like that. And I was like, well, like I'm all about sort of, having quite an anarchic and off the wall sense of humor. Why not I just start making, like, doing these silly photoshops, but like doing them in thumbnail, so that even if they've not got much of a correlation to the video content, and I try for them. Like, if you see a picture, uh, like a doctored image, some sort of Photoshop in a thumbnail of mine, I'll try my best for it to have some sort of relevance to what's in the video. I mean, you'll probably have to watch the video to find out what the relevance is, but I try 99 times out of 100 for there to be a little bit of a sort of, marriage of, content and what you've seen in the thumbnail. But
exactly. Well, I really like it.
Yeah, that was basically where the whole funny thumbnail thing started. It was just me being really bored of my boring face in boring thumbnails. I'm like, I want to put some funny, I want to put Jason in a mankini in a thumbnail. Although recently, I had a thumbnail taken down because it was too graphic. It was like a real good shot of Jason in his green mankini. YouTube didn't tell me they were taking it. I didn't get an email like saying, "Oh, like, don't put up explicit content." I mean, have you ever heard the word "not suitable for mum" and explicit content? But it just disappeared one day. I went into my studio app, YouTube Studio, and it's like, oh, where's my thumbnail gone? I'm like, hang on, and that was quite, you could really see Jason up close in his mankini there. And so I modified it and did like a one. Well, I don't think I even had Jason in it. It was just like a quick one that I did as a replacement. But I like to use my friends' faces. My friends won't have anything to do with the video more than likely, unless it's like a mystery box battle with Scarlet. Then I'll try and put Scarlet's head on the thumbnail. And if it was like an act of kindness from someone, and they were someone who, doesn't mind being on a thumbnail because they've been on YouTube quite a lot anyway, then I'll use them. But generally, it's just, I'll try and think of something I'll try and find an image vaguely relevant to the video content, and then I'll just put like my friends' heads all over it. I mean, that's, it's not high art or anything. It's just something that I did to make myself laugh more than anything. And if it makes other people laugh as well, it's just a little bonus. Really. It's like a little extra when, as well as the video, you've got this not funny thumbnail to look at as well. It's it's just like a freebie, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun. Like some of the, and I know you use Jason a lot because it's just so easy. It just kind of
it is,
yeah. But yeah, it's better than the video. Yeah,
the thumbnails are always better than the videos, Scarlett.
That's what pulls people in. Is very inventive and hilarious thumbnails. People are like, "Holy crap! I want to see this video now!" Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but like I said, I didn't do it. I wanted good thumbnails, but I knew I couldn't make like really fancy ones that just look totally professional.
Yeah.
But I wanted something that was better or more interesting or more entertaining than just, a screenshot of me during the video with a couple of like logos or whatever. And then that's where I thought, well, I've been messing around with sort of Photoshop apps for quite some time now. Why don't I just start using my friends? Most, if not all of them, are on YouTube themselves anyway. So it's not like this sort of, and it's another sort of community kind of thing, really. It's like it's all, we all know each other. We the people that I use, like who they are. If you're subscribing to me, you're probably subscribing to them, and vice versa. So it's just another nice little community aspect, but it's just a little sort of entertaining thing that I like to do, just mainly for my own benefit. But if other people get a kick out of it, then I'm delighted about that, really.
Yeah, we definitely get a kick out of it. So there you go. I especially love it, like Jason and Glenn and Leroy. When you use them in the three of them, it writes itself. It's absolutely hilarious, and I love it. And you're super talented when it comes to that, and picking the right person to go in the right spot. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm winging it a lot of the time, I have to admit, but sometimes opportunities just present themselves instantly. Sometimes I've done a picture just to put in like one of the chat groups just to make people laugh, and it's not been about anything. And then like weeks later, it's like, oh, I could use that same picture for a thumbnail video because it's got some vague relevance to something that I'm doing like weeks down the line. So yeah, but. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy him. Yeah.
Yeah, I do, and obviously so does Scarlett too. She loves them. Okay, a couple things. We're going to talk about your future plans for your channel, but we'll do that near the end of it. But do you have any books or hobbies or stuff like that other than your vinyl records and music and pops that you like to do? Like things that like because like during COVID, I think a lot of us have picked up new hobbies and stuff like that we like just to keep ourselves from getting bored. Is there anything like books that you've liked that you've read that you really like, or authors, or hobbies that you've picked up?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've kind of picked up any brand new ones as such. I mean, I'm trying to think if I might have, but what I've really done this year, as well as sort of ramping up YouTube, is also indulging more in the hobbies that I had previously. I love to read. Non-fiction generally. I had some fiction that I like, but because I like learning about facts and things that have happened, I like reading books about music and about bands. I love music, anything music related. I'll read pretty much. In fact, I've got a book that came in the post yesterday that I've not even opened yet. Sorry, my emails just came up then for no reason. Yeah, so I read a lot of non-fiction, particularly about music, and I like reading about wrestling as well. I've got some really good wrestling books as well about like the history of WCW and ECW and things like that. And also, regarding other hobbies, I love watching documentaries. I like watching documentaries about music again. I like watching sort of historical things. I'm quite interested in World War II and the Nazis, so I love all that. I like sort of certain aspects of American history as well. I like stuff about the Cold War, USA versus USSR, and kind of this sort of American period of sort of the 50s to the 80s. JFK going through Nixon to Ronald Reagan, all that kind of stuff. I'm fascinated with. I like learning. I like it. I like documentaries where you can learn something and it's not a chore. That you can sit and watch something and enjoy it like it's a piece of entertainment. But when you've turned it off and you've gone to do something else, you've realised that you've just absorbed a lot of information. And I love Wikipedia for things like that. I just like just sort of going on Wikipedia, looking something up, and then clicking a link, and then going down wormhole after wormhole, really, and learning. Even when I learn about stuff that I never intended to or never realised I would learn about at the start of it. So yeah, documentaries I'm a big fan of. Like I say, sitcoms. I love watching sitcoms. My ambition for a lot of years was to write my own situation comedy. I always felt, because I liked writing, I liked that since I was a kid, and I liked comedy. I always felt, I could do that, but I just never had that sort of really kind of great idea that I think a lot of writers have. It just never came to me, and I think entertainment's changed a lot in the sort of last 5 to 10 years, where everything's kind of very what's the word I'm looking for? Everything's sort of very sanitized now, and a lot of stuff that certainly in comedy circles that you could have got away with like 10, 20 years ago, wouldn't necessarily be acceptable now. And some of it I think is fair enough. I don't want to see kind of racist remarks in sitcoms. I don't know how familiar you are with British sitcoms from sort of the 70s and 80s, Vicky, but in this country back then, sort of referring to people of color by kind of
Yeah.
funny nicknames that was acceptable. People just did it, and I never liked it, and I never liked it when people did it in person, and I never liked it when I saw it on comedy shows and stuff like that. But it was just kind of, no one really batted an eyelid particularly over it. It was just something that happened. Whereas now, and I think that's a good thing that's changed, that we don't have sort of casual racism in comedy anymore like we did sort of 50 years ago. But other things like there's I like a comedy called The In-Betweeners. I'm sure you've heard. Yeah, really, really funny show about four schoolboys that came out around sort of 11, 12 years ago. And that, to me, that's not a long time ago, like 2010. That was, for me, that feels like yesterday, you know what I mean? But even now, I don't think they could remake that today like it was, because some of the stuff they say just, there's no racism in it, but it's all sort of like, sort of talk about sexual things, and there's, some sort of like, what you'd consider now to be homophobic slurs and stuff like that in. And it's, as funny as the thing is, and, I laugh at it because it's a funny show, it's there again, even something that was made 10 years back. I think things have changed so much since, in the last decade, really, that something like that I don't think would get commissioned, or if it would, it'd be written totally differently. It would have to be. I think that'd ruin it to an extent. So it's it sort of swings and roundabouts for me. But yeah, I love comedy, especially old comedies from the 70s and 80s, and there's some newer stuff that I like what The In-Betweeners is. I consider to be sort of more modern era. But I just like a wide range, and like I said, I'd have loved to have written a situation comedy of my own. But I just. If I didn't have the idea, then I wasn't just going to sort of sit down one day and just sort of, hold a pen for 6 hours waiting for inspiration. That'd be something that would come to me just sort of, naturally. But comedy I love, documentaries and sort of learning about things, sort of things that are educational but in an entertaining manner. And then, like I say, reading about wrestling, reading about music, because music and wrestling, and that's my two big loves, really. So that's what I do to sort of keep my brain occupied, really.
Yeah, I hear you. And you know what, my son right now excuse me is learning about history. So they're learning about the War of 1812 and what went on there between and the Americans and the Native Indians and stuff like that in Canada. Excuse me. But yeah, like, I love history. I always have. I always got like 80s and 90s in history in school. I hated geography and math, if that tells you anything.
I like geography. I hate maths. People think I'm good at maths, and I'm really not. I'm just I'm more lucky at it in a weird way. But I wasn't. I did like history at school, but I never liked it enough to kind of want to do it, for my GCSEs, our top level exams here when you're 15, 16. And I kind of wish I had. And the same with geography, because I'm interested in geography, not to the same extent, but I like to learn about other countries' cultures. I've visited a few other countries. I wouldn't say I'm like the most well-traveled person ever, but I've visited numerous other countries, and some I'm fascinated with, like Italy and Ireland particularly. They're two countries that I love, and I just love all the culture that surrounds them and everything. And Irish history is actually something that I'm very interested in as well. I've got DVDs and things and documentaries about the 1918. I was going to call them protests, but it was a bit more than that, and the partition of Ireland and things like that. So I mean, for me, that's sort of that's within the last 100 years. A lot of that. So that is sort of what I would call modern history, or near almost modern history. But yeah, so I kind of wish I'd done history more at school, to be honest. Either that or geography, because I think I would have got a lot out of it, and I'd probably be even more into all that than I am now, really. So, but better late than never, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, even so, I mean, like in myself, I was in high school. I always wanted to backpack around Europe type thing, and I always said to myself, because my family is actually from England, in the Kent area, like just outside of Kent, near Bodiam Castle and all that, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's where my family originated and moved from here. But the history out there, like the old castles, and I agree with you. It's very enticing, like especially in Italy as well, in Rome, and stuff like that. Bevi Fountain, or Trevi Fountain, I think it's called. Sorry, the Colosseum and stuff like that. I want to go visit the art museums. Like everybody's like, art is boring. No, but this is history. This is where a lot of our historians and where our artists and whatever came from. I know, right? I'm sorry. Hey, look, I'm in Canada now. I don't live there, so we're good. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that, I mean, this is a thing. We pick up things like during COVID, I think has kind of been a bittersweet year, like I said, because pick up some hobbies and do stuff they wouldn't normally do with their families because they're just way too busy. And I think it's kind of been an eye opener for a lot of people on things they've been missing out on. Right. So the other thing I want to talk to you about too, we were talking about Smule. You like what is the one song that you sang on Smule? And it was this is just a quick question, but what is the one song you sang on Smule just to get a kick out of it and would never do it again?
Probably. I mean, there's been a few. I mean, you could see my Smule account and all the ones that are there that I will never ever show in public. But there was one. In fact, I think I might have. I might have sent a link to Scarlett actually, so she would have seen this. But I did a duet of "Like a Prayer" by Madonna a few weeks ago, and I went absolutely back. Oh, sorry, I nearly swore then. Sorry, I went completely crazy, just really sort of going to town with like the vocal inflections. And moving around and just getting really overexcited. And when I watched it back, I'm like, oh, man, did I take something? And I didn't realise what am I doing? And I thought, no, I can't. But I thought it was just entertaining enough that I thought, you know what, I know we'll get a kick out of this. Albatross Pops. And yeah, I think she sort of gave it a one-sentence review, like, I don't know, oh, wow, or something. And then we never spoke of it again, which was probably for the best because... that was a mental performance. That was like a prayer, which is a song I love, but for some reason, and it's a long song. You don't realize how long it is. It's about 5.5 minutes, and it's pretty much all vocals throughout. There's not many instrumental breaks in it, so it's quite a workout for your voice, like a prayer is. But yeah, that was one I can't publish that because it was just too crazy even for me.
Right. Okay, so now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of a couple of things. And these things, if you don't want to answer these questions, you don't have to. Some of them. What is your most embarrassing moment in life that if you could go back, you would make sure that nobody ever found out about, or that you wouldn't have done, or you would have changed it?
I've got a feeling there's going to be many. This is one of those things where I'm kind of struggling to think of a specific really bad example now, but I guarantee you, like, later on this evening when I'm just sat here doing whatever, I'll like, oh yeah, I could have mentioned that. That was pretty embarrassing.
Anything that comes to mind.
Well, I don't know if I'd consider it too embarrassing as such, but I was very accident prone as a child. probably up till sort of I was like sort of 10, 11 years old. I was like always falling over and stuff, and that can be pretty embarrassing, you know, like when you're at school because you got kids laughing at you and stuff like that. I mean, looking back, it's like, well, I don't care now. You know, I'm like 40 years old. You know, what happened when I was a child? If I sort of fell on my arse a couple of times, it doesn't matter. But I once fell off a bus in Venice. Like it wasn't a moving bus, and I smashed my face in, and like I had this horrible kind of scar like under my nose for weeks, and even when I went back to school, it's like, oh, what happened to you? You know, this sort of weird scab thing that I had on my face. It was, you know, in the moment that's kind of embarrassing. I can't in adulthood. I can't really think of anything massively embarrassing, really. But like I say, I'll probably think of something later on, and I was like, oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. So yeah, I'm fortunately, I think I'm someone who I'm not very easily embarrassed. Which you can probably tell by the fact that I actually put some of these Smule videos up. You know, if I had any shame at all, I wouldn't publish videos like that because they're just completely nuts, really.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in adulthood more than childhood. It's difficult for me to feel really embarrassed. You know, I don't know. I suppose like the examples sort of when I was a bit younger would be like, you know, kind of getting rejected by girls publicly and things. You know, the usual teenage stuff, really. You know, that sort of thing. So yeah.
I like what Scarlett says. Went hunting with albatross pops. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was seen out in public with Scarlett. I mean, that was touch and go there for a while. Sort of whether should I be hiding my face? Yeah. No, that was a good day. It was a good day.
Nice. Another thing too. Jason used to do those taste test things on his channel and stuff like that. Is there a food that you would never eat again that you tried?
One that I've tried that I'd never eat. There's loads of foods that I just won't eat, but I've never tried them and I won't eat. But one that I did, and there's actually the video footage. I did it for Periscope, the live streaming app, some years ago, but I edited the footage down, and it's in one of my playlists on my channel, on my YouTube channel. I was doing these like silly live food challenges for a while back in like 2017-ish. And one was eating raw garlic cloves. Ooh. Oh my God. And the thing is, like, it was like a collaboration with a friend of mine, Paul. And for some reason, like, he's just had such a tolerance for horrible stuff. And like, so I felt, well, if he can do it, like he's just kind of eating like 10 garlic cloves, surely I can manage near that. And like, you know, I was like throwing up and just like astounded about how bad my breath was after like the second one. Seriously, I don't know if you've ever tried. Don't ever try and eat a raw garlic clove. I love garlic in food. You know, it's a great ingredient for certain pasta dishes. Garlic bread's lovely, blah, blah, blah. But don't eat raw garlic. It's just stupid. I'd never do that again. Never.
That's like eating a tablespoonful of cinnamon. Or, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I never did do the cinnamon challenge. I thought about it, but I think by the time I thought about it, it was one of those things that everyone had done a few years previous, and it felt a bit kind of, it looked like I'm a bit of a dinosaur if I did it a few years after. So I thought, no, I'll do some other things. And raw garlic, that'll be an interesting one. No, that was absolutely horrible. You can't, like, you talk about being able to smell your own breath. It's like your own breath could knock you out. Like, you don't even want to breathe. You smell your own breath. It's that bad. Horrible.
It's like those pickled eggs. My dad, I know, like back in the day, my dad said you'd walk into a bar and there'd be a great big jar of pickled eggs sitting on the counter. And he loves them. He'll go to town on them. Yeah. Right? It's the stench that comes out afterwards. I can imagine you with garlic too, because garlic bleeds through your pores too.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow. Yeah. Absolutely, it did. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. It was sort of just a silly thing, you know. I did it, you know. At this point, I was sort of on Periscope a lot. I wasn't really doing YouTube, but I'd put a few bits on YouTube now and again and edit some things down from Periscope. But I wasn't a YouTuber like I would consider myself one now.
yeah.
But it was just there again. I was just sort of me trying to sort of entertain people and, you know, just kind of, you know, just do funny things to my friends. Really, it's what I've always done. Really, I've just sort of played the clown all my life, really, and that was a good way of doing it, you know, in like a food challenge context, really.
Absolutely. Even Jason said he'd never do baby food again. Actually, that was my favorite video of him taste testing the baby food and stuff like that. And we thought about doing a video of
The thing is, though, like I never found those that weird because really, Jason to me kind of looks like a sort of like slightly large baby with a beard, doesn't he? Like, so watching him eat baby food, it almost seems a little bit normal for him. He's got, I don't know. He just reminds me of like a baby, albeit one who's like suddenly aged somehow, and he's got like a grey beard. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one, and yeah, it's true. He does. He actually talks like one sometimes, you know. But we'll just.
Yeah, he certainly defecates like one. I know that.
He's on a soft food diet. Definitely, Scarlett. He definitely does. Yeah. But we laugh at Jason's expense, so it's good. It was part of a challenge, Scarlett. He was doing challenges with friends of his, like this one person.
Yeah. Like me and my friend Paul, we were just doing all these daft challenges. We did fire noodles, and I revisited that with some extra strong fire noodles. That was a mistake. The one challenge that I was good at was the banana and Sprite one. I bossed that. In fact, I even deliberately bought extra bananas because just in case it was a bit of an anticlimax. And I drank the Sprite, ate the banana, felt fine. So I thought, oh, you know what? I've got a couple more bananas here, so I ate 2 more bananas. I was still fine. So that was like the ones where I do well. They're the most boring ones because it's like, well, there's nothing funny. But if like you see me throwing up because of garlic or spicy noodles, chili sauce were another one that I couldn't do. Like spoonfuls of extra hot chili sauce. Yeah. And I like hot stuff as well. And I failed miserably on this. I was ashamed that day. Sour sweets I struggled with. Too many of them. So nearly all of them have been a complete disaster, but they've made for entertaining viewing, especially when you were there. So I was doing it live, you know. But like I say, I've got a playlist on my channel with a lot of my old Periscope challenges on. So they're not brilliantly produced videos, you know. They kind of, you know, badly cropped, and you know, I didn't really know how to do editing back then. But you know, they're watchable.
Oh yeah. Scarlett says she doesn't get the Sprite and bananas challenge. You know what? That's why I watch Hazy Days too. I don't get that challenge either, but
yeah,
he does a lot of food challenges. You know,
I don't know. It was something. It was a little slightly viral for a while on YouTube around the time when I did it. Maybe 6 months previous. It apparently, like if you drink a bottle, it has to be Sprite rather than 7-Up. I don't know why. And if you drink a bottle of Sprite, like 330ml standard size bottle, and eat a banana, you're likely to vomit. It's just like it's the combination of it. It makes you sick. And I had watched a few videos beforehand, and you know, because some of these like sort of hardcore challenge channels that I used to watch sometimes on YouTube, and it's like even some of, you know, they were struggling with it, and I was like, oh well, I'll do this one then, because I like bananas and I like Sprite, so I'm not going to dislike the taste. All I've got to worry about is throwing up, but I didn't throw up either, and I ate extra bananas to try and get that kind of finale for the video, you know. Oh, he threw up after all. Hey, there we are. But it never happened. It was a total anticlimax. That.
Yeah, a challenge accepted by Scarlett. There you go. She's gonna try it. I know.
Oh, okay, right. I'll look forward to that.
That one we gotta watch. I know for me, like when I have ice cream and then I drink Sprite or 7 Up afterwards, it hurts my throat.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. If you eat really cold ice cream and then you drink carbonated beverage, like usually Sprite or 7 Up, afterwards it'll hurt your throat. So I know that happens for a lot of people that I've spoken to, but yeah, I've never really done anything. The only challenge we did here, and I didn't really participate because have acid reflux, so I can't really do it.
Uh,
My kids have eaten a piece of the hottest chocolate bar in the world.
uh,
And that was my buddy said that he got a blister on the inside of his cheek because he
well,
kept there to let it melt, and it made a blister because it was that hot.
yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my 16-year-old a couple years back did the hot noodle challenge. My son says, I'll give you $20 if you'll do it. So we took a video of him doing it, both of them doing it, and he did it. He ate the whole bowl. Like he loves spicy stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, I do as well. The trouble with the noodles ones for me wasn't so much the heat. The heat was pretty intense,
oh yeah.
but to make it more of a challenge, like I just increased the portion sizes. Like rather than eating one single pack of noodles, I think the first time I did the noodles challenge, I ate 2 packs and I completed it. But I was kind of, it was, I think there was some unpleasantness right afterwards. But the second time, when they brought out these ones that were twice as hot, I said to my friend Paul, I said, right, they're twice as hot. We need to eat twice the amount. So instead of 2 packs, I cooked 4 packs of these new. I mean, there's no way I was going to eat 4 packs of noodles, even normal nice noodles. Like no one's going to eat 4. I mean, it's just ridiculous, really. But you know, I thought I've got to sort of up the ante with the challenges, really. So as well as the spice being, the heat being increased, the amount of food was increased as well, and I think that's what did me. It was like me trying to eat all this food like constantly, like barely break it, and then you know my body just rejected it after a while. Yeah. So it could have happened with anything, I think. Really, it didn't have to be spicy noodles. It was just too much food in such a short space of time.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jason, I do remember that chicken wing challenge.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because you were moaning about the after effects for flipping months afterwards.
Well, that's one thing Jason's good at is moaning. You know, he's always
yeah. He came in one of the chat groups earlier, and it was just listing his ailments again. It's like blooming heck. It's like blooming some old age pensioner. Like, oh, I've got this wrong with me. I've got that wrong with me. It's like, oh, Jason, get back in the home.
Yeah, exactly. You want to go back to the home, Jason? Yeah, no, I do agree with you. He's a funny bloke, I'll tell you. Moment, you know. Okay, so we'll get to a couple of other questions. Worst advice and best advice you've ever received from anyone?
The best advice that I received was about 2.5 years ago. A friend of mine said to me, have you ever been tested for being on the autism spectrum? And I was like, no. My daughter, my eldest daughter, Emily, she's an autistic. And this friend just said to me out of the blue, have you ever been tested? Because I think you're on the spectrum. And it was like a light switch had gone on in my head. It was like, oh, wow, you know what? And it was weird. I'd gone through, 37 years or whatever it was of my life, 38 years, not realizing that I might be on the spectrum. And as it turned out, after some tests and waiting for an official assessment and diagnosis and everything, it turns out I do have Asperger's syndrome. And everything just made a lot more sense once I realised that, and once that diagnosis had been official. And when I got back from the assessment, I remember I went to see my mum, and I said, "Yeah, it went all right. The doctor's given me an assessment already." She says, I've got Asperger's syndrome. I mean, Mum just replied, "Oh, well, I knew she was going to say that." And why didn't you tell me then? Like, bloody heck, you've known me nearly 40 years. You could have clued me in. You know, some friend who like, I barely speak to very often who actually said, "I think you should look into that." Because I never occurred to me. So that was some really good advice from that friend, and I'll always be grateful to her for saying that. She wasn't saying it. I mean, she's a sort of friend where we sort of have like a bit of back and forth and like we joke with each other. But she was saying that out of genuine. She actually genuinely was giving good advice there, and I wasn't offended by it at all. It was like, oh yeah, that everything. Why I felt so different as a child and why I do certain things and why my behaviour is a bit funny sometimes. Everything kind of, everything started to, click and make more sense in my head once I started looking into that. Worst advice. I'd like to say whoever advised me to get married but the thing is, no one did. Like, so I've got to blame myself. Really, it was me. Like, I actually got engaged to my wife before I met her.
Oh boy.
Yeah. 2001 is when we started talking online on like AOL chat or whatever it was back then.
Right.
And she was obsessed with like the band Oasis, who were a good band, admittedly, but she was obsessed with them. She was obsessed with everything English and British. She's from New Jersey, and she was like, "Oh, I really want to move over to Britain. I want to quit my job and come over." And we'd not even really flirted that much online. We just kind of sort of chatted mostly about music and stuff. And I just said to her, I said, well, why don't you come over and you can marry me? And then like that means like once you're married to me, like you can stay in the country and no one's going to hassle you. That was what my the thing is at this point, in 2001, I'd had a couple of quite serious kind of mental breakdowns that year, and my mental health had just gone off a cliff that year. Even at the time, I probably thought I was all right, but I wasn't doing great. Really, looking back, I was still, I really shouldn't have been on the internet, trying to, look for a girlfriend, especially one who was like in another country. But that. So I mean, I know that's not really the answer to the question, because when I told everyone what I was doing, I mean, my mum and dad were horrified. It was like, well, you getting married to someone who you've not even met yet? I'm like, well, yeah, she's coming over in the new year, and then I'm booking the registry office.
Yeah.
But that was the sort of stupid, crazy, sort of daft things that I do. I mean, I'm blaming most of it on kind of me being at a low ebb mental health wise then, but I think a lot of it was like this sort of weird Asperger's sort of thing that I've got, where I sort of like just have weird behaviors generally. I think, although at the time, obviously, I had no idea that I was on a spectrum. I didn't really know what autism was back then until my eldest Emily was a year or so old. But all the advice other people have given, I can't really think, but I wish someone had just kind of really just sort of taken away my laptop and my computer and my internet connection back then, and just
no. Sorry, hang on one sec, because I said no, we need a break. Sorry. Children. Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
Well, yeah. So, that's the top and bottom of it, really. So Scarlett says, the one good thing that came out of just a marriage that I was miserable in for the majority of the time was that I did get two beautiful daughters out of it. So,
right.
There's always got to be positives to gain from even the worst situations, really. I think a lot of us have learned that this year, and a lot of us have learned that through various situations in our lives. I think I certainly have, anyway.
Absolutely, and this is a thing. Like, my all of my kids have ADD or ADHD of some form. And they get that from my father's side, which means I also have it. I know I have ADD. I have a hard time paying attention to things for a length of time. I get distracted like very easily. DJ Talks, how you doing? Thank you for popping in. I appreciate that. But for me, like, I do understand where you're coming from, and that is great advice for people to get that checked, because you never know. I mean, when we were younger, it wasn't as well pushed as it is now to get tested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it was a learning disability. That's what it was known in back in my day, or back in our day, So now it's more pronounced. There's more. I guess you could say there's more science behind it now. There's more conclusions. So we know what to look for now. Yeah, Dan's 2 boys have ADHD. Yeah, it is hard. It is. And I had 4 boys. 2 had ADD and 2 have ADHD. So now that my mom has dementia, that attention deficit has helped me deal with her in her loss of memory and everything, because she's like a 2-year-old now. So you know what I mean? So it's, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Asperger's is tough. It's a very tough thing to deal with. And I'm glad that you found out. So now you can better understand yourself and others that may have it, and what other parents are dealing with. And then with your daughters with autism, like, it's a tough thing to deal with, but the more info you have, the better it is to deal with.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad that person told you that.
Yeah. If she hadn't, I'd probably be like still clueless now. I'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of, I always said to people, and I still say it because I like the word. I say I'm an eccentric.
Absolutely.
I'm like a lone wolf. I kind of don't walk to the same beat as everyone else. I like to do things my own way, even if it's like a bit weird. But now it's like I can say, well, yeah, I've got Asperger's syndrome. So if my behaviour is kind of unsettling or bizarre in at any point, then that's why. Whereas before it was just like, oh, I kind of like being weird, and I do. I like being weird. I don't like being the same as anyone else. I like to be different. I like to be unique. I like to be a one-off. And I like to sort of, mess with people, not in a nasty way, but just kind of, mess with their heads a little bit. And, a lot of the time I'll do it more for sort of to get a laugh out from them, or for myself more than anything. But it's, I like sort of quirky things and just being a little bit off the wall and off kilter. And I mean, I've always been like that since I was young. I remember just feeling different to like other kids at school and stuff like that. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And this is, I like what Scarlett has says. I think it helps empowers people so they know, they are how they are, not a lost cause, not strange. They can do anything with the correct help. And that's exactly
absolutely.
On these different things. And I'm kind of like, a lot of people are like, we never heard about it back in the day. But I'm glad that people have dug into these things and looked at the behaviors. And I mean, my youngest one has ADHD and he has super high anxiety. Jimmy, you've met him, Carter. And you know what? If I hadn't had the information that I do now, I would be going crazy. But he's weird as well.
It's good that, these sort of neurological things. I don't want to call them disorders because there's it's this kind of like massive sort of spectrum that a lot of things like autism and Asperger's and ADD and ADHD. They're all sort of they're all kind of in the same ballpark really, and it's good that medical science and people's just acceptance to learn more about this sort of thing has really sort of come on in more recent years. I mean, like you say, when I was a kid, I didn't know what autism was. It was something that I heard mentioned on like the news now and again, and like they'd only really show like the extreme cases, like really serious kind of autistic people who just never talked in their life and who couldn't really do anything for themselves. You never saw sort of the other side of it. the people like me, the people like Scarlett, the people like my daughter Emily, who she's not got Asperger's, but she has got, you know, quite a moderate to high form of autism where, you know, she's, you know, it just really sort of gets her anxious, and she's going to be 18 in December, but she's got no understanding about sort of living in a sort of society and living in you know, making the transition to adulthood. She's really sort of, you know, she's kind of like a sort of 4-year-old really, and on that level kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good that we understand this sort of thing now. I think, it's great.
Yeah, my 22-year-old, he'll be 23 next week. I feel you on that one. He has low functioning. This is what they keep telling me is low functioning autism, and he is very don't touch me. Took me a while. Like, he was not ready to get a job at all until this year. He works at a go-kart track and it's, you know, it's good for him. It's outside and stuff like that. But he is that type of guy that will, if you go in his room, he will know. The first thing he says is, who was in my room today? Like, my room, some things moved, and I know someone was in my room. Like, he'll know. And that's part of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, the more knowledge we have, the better. Sounds like my brother, my mom worries about him to no end. And I worry about my son too. He just moved out this May, and it was, or was it last May? I think it was last May. But anyways, it's been a while, and it's been really hard for me too, because I didn't want to push him to move out, but I knew he needed to be on his own. But he is with his best friend. He's living with a friend. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let him go.
Yeah.
So his, you know, he's learning what it's like, and he loves it. He absolutely loves it. Yeah, but he is 23 years old. So, I mean, waiting until she's ready, I totally agree with you, until she's ready and you know that she's going to be able to pick up these things on her own when she's out. If she's got someone to look out for her, it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And that's the hard thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll get to, I have one final question.
Okay.
We've got 2.5 hours here, and I have enjoyed this thoroughly, Jimmy. And don't worry.
So have I. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you. Yeah. If I get the feeling this might be one of your more longer interviews, and you know, I don't want to. Yeah, I've probably set the precedent for being the most self-indulgent guest you've had now, haven't I? You can be honest.
I've enjoyed.
He can't stop talking about himself.
I know, right? No, I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and getting to know you better. Like I said, this is the point of the interview, and I don't care if your answer is a 10-minute answer or a 2-minute answer. We want to get to know you, and that was the whole point of this, because we want people to check out your channel, get to know you as a person. So I have like just 2 quick questions. Subscriptions. Who is your worst YouTuber? Someone you absolutely hate on YouTube, not somebody you know necessarily. It doesn't have to be somebody you hate on YouTube.
It's like, Jason, calm down, mate. You're all right. I'm not. He's
not saying your name. Jimmy's favorite sound, his own voice. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Someone, a YouTuber that you just can't stand, and then you're all like the first person, or maybe your favorite YouTuber on YouTube.
A YouTuber that I can't stand. You know, it's not someone I've ever subscribed to, but for some reason I came across some of his videos, and there's a couple that are kind of like him, but he seems to be the most annoying. I'm sure you've heard of him because he's got, like, I don't know, 5 million subs or something. I don't know. Rice Gum. He really winds me up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a violent guy. I'm quite proud of the fact that I'm a pacifist. You know, I believe in peace over war any day. But I would be so needing to be restrained from giving him a kick somewhere where he's just you know, it's kind of like his ilk though. These kind of like sort of 20-something sort of like spoiled kids like him, the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake. It's like I know I'm the wrong age group and probably the wrong gender as well to appeal to, for those kind of channels to appeal to. But something about Rice Gum, just every time like I saw a video of his or him appearing in someone else's video, he just came across as arrogant, obnoxious, talentless. Like he's released music. I mean, like, do people actually go and buy his music? I know he hasn't done any sort of physical releases, but like, you can listen to him on Spotify and stuff like that. Can't you? It's like, do people actually choose to listen to him rapping or whatever he thinks he's doing? He's the absolute worst. I can't stand him. Yeah. Seriously, fair play to him. He's made a lot of money and got a lot of fame from having very little talent. Fair play to him for actually achieving that. Me personally, I'd rather watch someone who has got knowledge, who's got true passion about something they're interested in, and who's entertaining to me on a proper, intelligent or entertaining level, and there's nothing intelligent and entertaining about him. My favorite YouTuber, and I'm not now. Yes, I did just say I'm a pacifist, Glenn. I know it's difficult to believe because the amount of times I get annoyed over stuff, but generally, as far as like society is concerned, I believe in like disarmament I believe in the abolition of the armed forces, which I know is probably a controversial thing, but I have done for many years. It's just my own personal feelings on it. My favorite YouTuber, I'm not going to mention any of my like friends. All my friends and patrons and other subscribers who do YouTube. People like yourself, Vicky, and everyone who's been in and out of the chat, and all the other people who I've obviously not really had a chance to mention. I'll always watch them because they're my friends, they're my supporters. But the one YouTuber I would say is my favorite YouTuber who I've never really interacted with on a personal level, although we've kind of he's replied to a couple of my comments on his Patreon before, but that's I've not talked to him, I've not chatted to him. Is the guy I mentioned earlier on regarding the 8-track stuff, Techmoan. I've been a patron of his channel, and he does it full time. He stopped working so he could focus on his videos, and he's at 1 million subs. He's got hundreds of patrons, which enables him to buy all this equipment that he mends and reviews and stuff. And his production qualities is always massively high. And it's just a guy who's probably 10 years older than me. Wow. From sort of north of England kind of guy, but he's just the passion that he has and the knowledge he has for hi-fi and for retro technology and for the history of technologies. It's fascinating. I love it when he brings a new video out, and he's been on Patreon. His videos tend to be early access for patrons as well. So if I wouldn't pick any one of my friends because I think they're all great. If you're a friend of mine and you do YouTube, then all power to you. I love you for doing that, and I'll support you for as long as I can. But someone who, I won't call him a celebrity, and he won't call himself a celebrity, but he's over 1 million subs now. Techmoan is that's the channel that I can be. I've binge watched his videos, like ones that I've seen before. Like, for me, they're like little documentaries almost, some of them. And if I'm not, I never say bored, but if I'm a bit of a loose end one afternoon or something, I've got like an hour or an hour and a half to spare, I'll just go on his channel, set it up on the TV, and just binge watch some of his old stuff that I've seen before, but I still enjoy it. Like videos that he made 4 or 5 years ago. It's great. So yeah, Techmoan is my favorite YouTuber, not including anyone who I actually know on a more personal level.
Yeah. Oh, that's and this thing. I understand you not saying your friends, and yeah, sorry, you need to say it. It's you don't want to pick a favorite.
No. I mean, I think we all, we do have, out of friends. I don't think I'm talking out of line here when I say, some people who we know we enjoy more than others, but I think that's just, it's bound to happen. There's going to be, there's going to be some, but it doesn't, for me, if you're doing YouTube for the same reasons I am, because you love it and it's a way to get involved in a community and it's a way to get yourself motivated and excited for your collecting and your hobbies, then even if your videos are kind of, a little bit ropey or poor quality, I will still support you, because if you've got that genuine passion, I'll be able to see that from, within 2 seconds. I'll be able to see that you love what you're doing and that you love your hobbies. And that speaks volumes to me. So it doesn't matter to me whether you've got brilliant editing, brilliant bells and whistles or not. If you're passionate and you're genuine, then I'll watch you and I'll support you.
Absolutely. That's why I don't like the follow for follow thing. I hate it. I do follow a lot of people, but I genuinely watch their videos. Like, my favorite one right now is that Carry On with Jeff and John. The guy's an absolute epic cook. He does live recipes. He used to be a chef, but he's retired now. But he makes them quick and he makes them easy, and he does it right on screen for everybody to see and everything else. And it's just, they're absolutely stunning recipes that he does, right? Like top end stuff. Glenn says, who is your favorite YouTuber on a personal level? One out of everyone you know is your favorite YouTuber. We are not going there.
Yeah, I can see Geeky Heathen. Will he be brave enough to answer? That would be completely unfair. I mean, I don't know. Like, if when Jason and Rachel or whoever else you get to interview, whether they get asked that same question. If they said, "Oh, my favorite YouTuber is," plucking a name out of thin air, Abigail Barry, then that'd be totally fine, because I know Abby, I like Abby. If they said Geeky Heathen, I know Glenn, I like Glenn. I think Glenn's great, apart from when he's always glancing to his second monitor. No, I know you probably won't understand that reference, Vicky, but that's a little bone of contention between Glenn and I there. But, if whatever people say is their answer. They're speaking their truth. For me, I genuinely 100% hand on heart. I think all my friends who do YouTube, even I know there's not enough hours in the day for me to see every last video that all of them have ever done, but I'll try and do my best and watch as much as I can. Certainly of the ones that have got an interest for me, Funko collecting. Like I said, I know I keep mentioning him. He's getting too much promotion from me, but I like Jason's record videos. Yeah, when he's not buying complete tat from someone. I like him. I've not got a favorite out of my my friends, but I support all my friends, and I think that's the diplomatic thing to say, and it's the true thing as well.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah. Brandon Jackson, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, you know what? Glancing, I do that too. I always tell people when I'm doing my trivia, I have my iPad set up beside me sometimes so I can make sure that, so I'm always looking over here, but most of the time it's on whatever Twitch streamer I'm watching at the time. Yeah, so it's, no.
Yeah. When you've got to look at something specific, but it's like to the side of it, and it's not within like your sort of camera line. Yeah. So yeah, I sympathise. Not too much with Glenn, because he never used to do it before he changed his setup. But he knows how I feel about that, and it's just a bit of leg pulling. I mean, I'm getting my leg pulled a lot for putting up with that mukbang that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I just sat and ate a sandwich for 20 odd minutes. But the thing is, though, although the people who really didn't like it are just roasting me over it all the time. Like, oh, you sat eating a breakfast sandwich for 24 minutes, you idiot, kind of thing. But I got a lot of good feedback from that video, saying, "Oh, you made me feel really hungry," and a lot of people were really engaging in conversation, like, "Oh, I like such and such for my breakfast," And it was there again, even a video like that kind of seems really self-indulgent and really sort of, you know, not to everyone's tastes. You know, it still fostered a lot of conversation within the community, and I like that when my videos do that. When I'm able to have conversations with people either in the comments or in chat groups and stuff. You know, that's what it's all about for me, really.
Yeah. Scarlett says she has mentioned the sandwich twice and you didn't bite.
If you mention it tonight, I've not been glancing up at the chat as much as I wanted to, obviously, because you know, I mean, I've been trying to focus on answering Vicky's questions, but yeah, I'm not surprised the breakfast sandwich was mentioned already tonight, Scarlett. Yeah, because I know there's certain people out there who think that was the daftest and stupidest video ever, but yeah, I had my reasons for doing it. I'm not going to go on about them now, but yeah, I was happy with the response it got, certainly.
Yeah, she says perhaps your next mukbang should be live. Yeah,
you know what? I may do a live on one day. I'll probably get the Pop-Tart, Lee Teasdale, absolutely hating it and roasting me for the rest of my life. But okay, yeah, I'll do it for community engagement, Scarlett. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's been like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't even talk now. An absolute pleasure talking to you. I want you to tell everybody in the chat what you got coming up on your channel for the future, and also, like he said before, we're going to be in January restarting our live prediction chat for wrestling. You do lives every Friday night, you said?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm not, you know, I try, Friday seems to be a good night for sort of my friends to be involved, and those who want to be on the panel can be, and then, you know, we get a few people in the chat as well. So, yeah, Fridays, I tend to be doing it around 8 o'clock UK time. That's just like a bit of fun where we play some Jackbox games, Quiplash, and there's one called TKO that we like. So live-wise, I try and do them every Friday. I'm not saying that'll be sort of a definite slot for the rest of existence kind of thing, but for the foreseeable future, I'm hoping that'll continue. And as you say, the wrestling streams will be starting again in January. And as for normal YouTube content, which is like the bread and butter of what I do, you know, that's what I love. I love the editing, and I love fiddling around with video. More of the same, really. You know, I want to, you know, plenty of unboxings, plenty of Funko, plenty of music-related stuff. You know, probably like throwing a Smule now and again when I'm running low on things. And, you know, just really just sort of providing a consistent and an enjoyable and a varied level of content for people, because I don't like to be associated with just one thing. I like the fact that my channel, there's like different things now and again. Yeah, there's a lot of Funko. You could say I'm primarily a Funko YouTuber, but there's you know, I try and, you know, I do different bits and bobs. So, you know, I do music, I do wrestling related stuff. You know, I do horrible duets with people on karaoke apps. You know, I do the Top of the Pops series, that's a series that I'm hoping will continue into the new year. It takes quite a lot of editing, the Top of the Pops series. So that's when I do those, I tend to have to sort of set really quite a few hours spare in my schedule to just sort of sit and focus on getting those done. But I try and get them done quite well in advance as well. So that's a series that I like doing, and I know Jason enjoys watching that, and a few others do as well. So there's a wide variety of content. I'm just, you know, wanting 2021. I know we're not there yet; it's only October, but I want next year to be the same as this year. For me, not generally, you know, be horrible for everyone, but I want the year, content-wise and YouTube-wise, to be just me putting stuff out there that people enjoy as often as I can on a regular basis, really. So, you know, stay tuned. You know, if you like what I do now, then I'm just going to carry on doing it for as long as I can, really. But I'm always open for new ideas, though. So if anyone does have any ideas of what they'd like to see me do, then get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, there you go. Brandon, thank you for bringing your family or telling your family to come over and join. Glenn says, feel free to skip the Smule vids.
Oh, they're only a few minutes long. You can't skip. Yeah, all right.
Put them on mute when you listen then, Glenn.
Yeah, it does defeat the purpose a bit, but yeah.
And Jason says you need the lost tapes back.
Yeah, there again, they're ones that are really, I can't do them without the help of others. And Jason obviously has been a godsend for the Top of the Pops lost tapes, because it was him and me who were just like sort of recording each other, just sort of doing daft little like sort of changing lyrics to songs and badly singing them, and then we did get a few other people involved over time. But it's it's just finding the people who are willing to contribute little audio clips, and for me to try and find them all and collate them all and arrange them on. It's the hard videos to produce those, but once you've done one, it's like it's real sense of satisfaction when the finished product's there and you watch it back. But but I would like to do another lost tapes at some point. Jason, yeah.
Scarlett, Jason, a godsend. Are you feeling okay, Jimmy? I've never.
Don't mention that again. Like he'll be dining out on that for the rest of the decade. That I actually complimented him and called him a godsend in this. I feel ashamed of it already.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. You want to make sure. I'm just going to try and do what I was doing here. I'm going to share your channel out one more time for people to check it out. Please make sure to click on that link. Check out Jimmy. Like I said, it's been an absolutely wonderful interview. And I see big things here. You're over 1,000. You're over 1,100 now, I think. Are you not?
Just over. Yes, you're right. I had to think then. Yes, 1,120 something, I think, was the last time I looked. So yeah, everyone who's ever subscribed to me, ever watched my videos, thank you all so much. That's why I do it. Well, it's not the only reason why I do it. I do it because I like doing it, and I think if you've got 5 subscribers or 5 million, if you enjoy doing YouTube, then fill your boots is my advice. Do it as much as you want. But I do appreciate, everyone who subs to me and everyone who's a patron and just everyone who likes watching my stuff. So thank you all.
Absolutely. And we love you, Jimmy. We know, you know that. Hopefully we can get you on one of our wrestling news chats one weekend.
I'd like to, because I think I'd have a lot of fun on those. Yeah. So yeah, we'll try and sort that out at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if we need to change the time to a bit earlier in the day, around a 3 o'clock chat like we did today, then we can do that, like 3 p.m. my time. Okay, guys. Well, thank you again, Jimmy. Like I said, guys, make sure you check out this channel. I do live trivia every Wednesday. I do my videos throughout the week. I'm on Twitch now as well, which is in the description of my latest video. And I do live trivia on there as well, as I play Quiplash every Tuesday night. So if you want to come and join that and you have Jackbox TV on your mobile device, just come on in and join. And next weekend, we will, I think it's the 6th or the 7th next weekend, we have a special guest coming on. Amplitude TV is going to be our special guest on our wrestling chat. And he's a fellow Canadian and everything else. So thank you for the encouragement there, Jace. Jimmy, like I said, thank you again. You're a blessing to.
Thank you for inviting me, Vicky. I really appreciate it. I've had a really enjoyable evening, and it's been great chatting to you. And I hope it's been as entertaining for you and for everyone else as it has been for me, because I've had a really good time. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I wanted my community, to get to know you as a person. And I mean, you're absolutely a wonderful person, aside of Jason being your best friend. But sorry, I had to. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be doing the Hoot seat in the future. I'm looking into getting a few more people in for interviews. I'll probably do it every other Thursday night. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for the compliments. And make sure you hit Jimmy's red button and his bell so you never miss any of his videos. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.